here with you once again. It's the middle of the week, so that means we're almost very likely, and that's what we're doing today. We're invading Blender's turf. Blender, of course, starts the show 11 o'clock. Our apologies. My apologies. A little technical issue on my part, which we're a few minutes late, but just a couple. You'll be fine. Taking y'all straight at the lock, of course, we yield the crunch time as well. I believe crunch time's coming in at 12:15, 12:20 or so. I want to say it is TJ Zwarych and Dave Potts, as well as chief mineralogist Kevin Roth. Blender, apologies once again for invading your turf. Obviously, it's normally the time when
you're welcome
your
anytime, Dean. Invade all you want.
I'm allowed to crash the party whenever I want.
I'm alone in the morning. I'm alone in the morning all the time. I sometimes I need companionship.
You got your coffee and you got your thummy thumbs. You have James McCool joins you sometimes, so I didn't realize you needed more companionship. But I'm around. Yeah, feel free to, one of these days I'm going to crash your.
You wake up early and you want to hang out with the game theory and nothing matters. I mean, it's kind of a nihilistic type of show where it's like, once you learn a lot about DFS, you realize that it's like, oh, not a lot of this matters. So let's just put together lineups that aren't bad, like 20 or 30% of the field, and then just hope variance is on your side.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it works, especially at baseball. Baseball, obviously the highest. I guess I don't play every single sport, but I think in my brain, baseball is the highest variance sport. Maybe hockey, maybe possibly hockey as well. I would say those are probably the two highest variance sports. Maybe MMA. Actually, that's more your turf. And the MMA, obviously, it's kind of a you either get knocked out or, well, I suppose you could draw as well too. But what is the highest variance sport? What would you say, Blender? You probably have a better thought in this than I do.
For DFS purposes, it would be I think baseball, golf to some extent. Like it really. The fact that in MMA there's only so many options, like limits the effect of the variance. It's like if there's we have a big card coming up, a pay-per-view card coming up, 14 fights. So that means there's only 28 fighters. But the variance of one single fight could be ridiculous. Like just one punch could change the course of everything in any fight, no matter what the odds are. A guy could be a 4-1 favorite and get knocked out in the first minute. I mean, like that could happen in MMA. The thing is that, well, you can really only select like 1 out of 28 fight. I mean, like 6 out of 28 fighters, and you're unlikely to be playing 2 fighters from the same fight because only one could win. So it's like, okay, well, in baseball, it's like, here, we have a 9-game slate, but there's 18 teams, and they have 9 batters on each team. And if you're going to stack on DraftKings, that's 5 batters for like, you know how many combinations? And then you have to play 2 pitchers, right, out of 18 pitchers. So the variance is way higher, but your options are almost unlimited. So it's
a couple things. But you're saying that I was told, maybe this is wrong, if you have 150 lineups, you max enter, you get every possible combination. Is that not correct?
Every combination, right? Mathematically, yeah. I believe all 1,000 people in the player pool, I think you could do every combination in 150. That checks out mathematically.
No reason to double check the math. Just assume.
Don't even bother double checking the math, right? 150, you could literally cover every single combination possible of all the baseball players on today's slate.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And the MMA thing, not to tilt y'all, but like you're saying 14 fights, that's before the slate locks, right? Usually you're like 1 or 2 gets kicked off after. Right?
No, not usually. It's just there's been some recent times that's happened. But the thing about that is that in MMA, when variance, the high variance stuff happens, someone owns that. Like that's the difference of like the variance being high in MMA. Like if the 4% owned underdog like knocks out the big favorite, like still 4% of the field have that guy. In baseball, like we have guys that hit 2 home runs that are barely owned. I mean, like like you don't have to be the benefits of all the variance in baseball because you don't really need the nut lineup to win any GPP. You just need to have a very, very, very good lineup with most of the top scorers, or at least if there's multiple top scorers on a certain team. You don't even, I mean, I've seen GPP winners like just recently where like they have like the 6th highest scoring pitcher, right, in their lineup, that there was a one-off that they have there was a 20-point one-off, but he was like 2% owned, and they have like the 14-point guy from some other team. It's like you could survive that type of stuff. MMA, it's high variance, but with only so few options, like everyone is owned. There's no such thing as like an unowned fighter in MMA unless the fight got changed.
Do you want to say what's up to the chat? Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Do all those things. Stick around all the way up until lock. Again, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. You got TJ Zwarych, Cheap Interologist Kevin Roth coming in about an hour or so, taking y'all straight up to lock 105. You mentioned 9 games. The main slate is every game being played in baseball today, with the exception of, I believe Toronto plays later on tonight. But we are getting both Fanduel and DK took the Atlanta and Miami game as well. So we're going all the way up to 410. We're probably going to have a slate that starts with some lineups not out just yet. People in chat are mentioning, yes, Justin Verlander is back today. Very first start of the season for Verlander. He did have 1 rehab start. He threw 69 pitches. Not nice, right? We want a few more pitches than that, but probably throws about 85 or so against Detroit. And he's fully priced for what it's worth. He still have another Coors game. Milwaukee still in Coors against the Rockies, 12 total. What's up, Aaron? Aaron in chat saying that I gave him a hard time yesterday. This is on me, right, Blender? Apparently, yeah, he was talking about the Brewers. He said the Brewers going to score less than 2 runs yesterday. And he's taking the victory lap on that. So, okay. I mean, just bet the under in the game, or just bet the Rockies. What was the final score in that game? I'm trying to remember.
6-2, I think, something like that.
Colorado won 6-2. Well, wait a second. If it was 6-2, then Aaron was wrong. He said they're going to score less than 2 runs.
They scored 1 run. They barely scored. They didn't score much.
They scored 1. That he's right.
Right. All I cared about was Willie Adames, and he didn't do anything.
Yeah, man. I don't know how bad the score. My scores were really bad yesterday. I don't think I got to 100 as far as my top score in the night slate. Did not go well for your boy. And I loaded up in the Mariners, and they did some stuff late, but just not enough. It was 7-1. So I guess I was wrong. I made fun of him. Yeah, well, scoreboard. I don't know what the data points say today as far as the Brewers, but yeah. All right. Big L for me. TJ in chat. TJ hanging out. Do hit those like buttons before TJ jumps on, so he has those Spidey bombs ready for you. Shout out to TJ. I know you're a big fan. I know you're a big fan of this.
I gotta get mine, right? I gotta get mine. If TJ's gonna have Spidey bombs, I gotta load them up. Right.
You sort of plagiarized.
Everyone wants to know my venom bomb, my venom stuff, right?
Yeah. So TJ, I don't know if it's 50 or 100, whatever it is, but he's got his Spidey bombs, and he had Christian Walker. He had a couple homers yesterday in the early slates. Vinny Pasquantino. I'm not sure what other ones he had. He had a good day there with his Spidey bombs, so good for him. Spidey has been hot for sure. And I'm not sure about your venom bombs. Have you been keeping records of your venom bombs?
You want to guess? You want to guess, Dean? I got 3 of them. I got 3 venom bombs, and these are 3 batters that have over a 0.3 projection in the bat for home runs.
But just as an aside, did you see what Fernando Tatis's projection was in the bat for one of those games? The first game in Mexico City. You remember what it was?
It was like 18 or something.
No. Like the percent chances of hitting a home run. Like you said, 0.3. You're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't look at that. What was it?
Okay, so Mexico City. Yeah, it was. The elevation was insane there. The total in the game was like 15, 16, 17, whatever it was. 1.5 times the elevation of Coors. And Cardi said it was the biggest projection he ever saw as far as a home run projection in the bat. 0.59 to homer, which is just outrageous. And you know what he did?
He home run?
He did homer. Yeah, he homered on like a 330-foot pop-up or something like that. So, yeah, what a weird cheat code that was that day. So, okay, you want to know? You want me to guess your Spidey, your venom bombs?
My
Who
venom
are the top
bomb,
3 hitters?
Which, just to be clear, for those listening, is me simply just looking at the bat projection page on the home run column, which you could do if you buy the bat, if you sign up for RotoGrinders anyway. So, you don't need me. I'm not doing this as like a magic trick or anything.
So Aaron's talking about Willie Adames being terrible versus lefties. So we shouldn't be touting him, but I'm going to say that Willie Adames is in your top 3 Venom Bombs.
Yes, he's number 3.
Yes, and TJ JP Sears pitched really well last night. You happy now? I know he had a lot of Sears. I don't think I was like giving him a hard time about it. I played a little bit of Sears, a pinch, but I don't think I was like laughing at him about Sears. I don't remember.
His pitches come out of a catalog.
That's a
very old reference. That's a very old reference that only really old people would get.
Does Sears still exist? I feel like
I don't know. When's the last time you ever got a Sears catalog? That may have been when I was like 7 years old in like the mid 80s.
Well, not even the catalog. Like it's a department store. At least once upon a time, it was a department store.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if it's still is it right next to Lord and Taylor and J.C. Penney's. Do those places exist? I have no idea.
Yeah, but they innovated catalog shopping.
Is that still? Is there? Do you still get catalogs in the mail? Bed Bath and Beyond. The coupons. They're gone too.
Now. We have the internet, Dean. We don't need. No one needs to send me a.
Amazon kill them all.
Imagine getting the hard copy of eBay. It's like, oh, what's in the new issue of eBay today? Oh, this is what's for sale. Like that's like why would that be a thing?
They're just throwing out stores now in chat. Woolworths, is that still a thing?
No,
I'm aware of Woolworths. I'm not sure if I've ever been in one before, but I don't know if it still exists or not. All right, so your top 3 hitters on the board there: Willie Adames,
right?
Oh, Rowdy Taylor.
Rowdy's number 2.
Is the third guy in Coors or not in Coors? I feel like he's not
in Coors. The first guy is 0.33 and he's not in Coors.
Okay. Is it Acuna?
Nope. Acuna is not even okay. Acuna is like 0.25.
Yeah,
he's much lower down.
You know who I think should be, but he probably isn't. I think Buxton should be one of the top guys.
Buxton is number 1. There you go.
Oh, there it is. Oh yeah. Reverse splits, Giolito. Okay, so there you go. We nailed it.
So there you go. You didn't even have to give me all the thumbs for those.
We have a lot of questions being rolled out in chat. What is EB Games? EB Games was my jam back in the day, according to
EB Electronics Boutique.
Oh, we don't have time. Like we're too busy. We can't say Electronics Boutique. It's too wordy.
Well, no, they changed their name to EB.
Was it like GameStop?
Yeah, it's like GameStop.
I don't remember EB Games. I know GameStop, but I don't remember EB Games.
Right, but you remember Electronics Boutique.
I don't know if I do.
Really?
Was it national?
Yeah. They would sell video games and computer software and stuff like that. And then since they're going so much heavier to video games, they just Electronics Boutique didn't sound like a good enough name. They're just like, oh, EB Games.
Yeah. Well, Circuit City, that's no longer a thing, right? I feel like it's
how about Funko Land? You remember Funko Land?
I know Funko Pops. I don't know if I know Funko Land.
Funko Land. It was just similar, and then you go and you trade in your games, and they give you like half a cent for them and something. And then Funko Land also had video game rentals.
Oh yeah, I would rent them from like Blockbuster or something like that back in the day. But let's not get all nostalgic of the people just yet. Overall, as far as the slate, we mentioned there's a core slate. There's 9 games. The return of Justin Verlander. There's a lot of there's some very reasonable pitchers in the roster. If you look at our ownership right now, it's pretty flat, right? As far as the expectation of the pitchers being rostered. George Kirby, it looks like the quote unquote safest pitcher, I would say. I'm looking at the Fanduel ownership right now for what it's worth. Giolito 20%, 19% to Luzardo, which to me seems a little high. I think he's interesting for tournaments, but I'm surprised to see it that high. We'll see. Kirby at 13%, Verlander at 7%, 11.5 on FanDuel. Not much cheaper on DK either. I'm giving a refresh in the ownership and want to see if we get DraftKings wise as far as the pitchers. I think we have like at least 6 or 7 pitchers that I'm considering rostering. Kind of open to whatever my stacks take me, basically. Whatever I have salary for. Well, that's wrong. We have 0% on Verlander. We got to fix that. That is incorrect. You know what? I got to get a refresh. Let me see what the bat is saying as far as ownership. Because Verlander is not going to be 0% owned on DK.
No, Verlander would probably be around 10-ish, 10 to 15 maybe.
So the bat ownership stuff, we have 31% on Kirby. That makes sense to me. I think he's the most popular pitcher. on DraftKings. Giolito 25%, Luzardo 25%. Maybe that's just a bad read by me because I thought Luzardo was going to be kind of sort of contrarian. Grayson Rodriguez at 20%. I think that flips. Maybe I'm wrong. You tell me, Blunder. Flaherty at 18%, Lopez 16, Verlander 15, Eflin 13. But pretty flat, right? I think Kirby's going to be the most popular pitcher. And again, that's what the projections have it as well. Against Oakland, big ballpark, good contact guy. The Oakland team's pretty terrible. Their projected lineup strikes out a fair bit. We don't have the lineup just yet because, again, that's kind of a West Coast game. What is a West Coast game? How does that affect the slate, Blunder? Because we're not going to have, most likely, Marlins, Atlanta. Decent chance we don't have Oakland and Seattle. Milwaukee, Colorado, maybe not. Milwaukee, their lineup came out a little bit late yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just kind of like spoiled because it was about 2 hours or so before their first pick. So if you go by that math, it'll be right around lock today. Does that affect stuff for you? I don't think it affects stuff for you, but the field, you think? They're impatient. They like their instant gratification. They don't want to sit around and wait and see and make sure guys are in lineups, guys aren't in lineups. How does that, change the slate, if at all?
As of now, it doesn't. But I mean, obviously, the later and later it goes without an official confirmed starting lineup, typically reduces the ownership to some extent. I think we'll end up with some Coors lineups before lock anyway. But like the Atlanta-Miami game, we're probably not getting. I like one of those teams in that game. But at pitcher, from a raw point projection in the bat, there are 8 pitchers that have a projection between 14 and 18. Okay. You know what the difference between 14 and 18 are?
It is 2 walks.
Right.
Okay,
right. Not much. Basically an inning pitched. Right. So I got Kirby, Giolito, Flaherty, Luzardo, Grayson Rodriguez, Zach Eflin, Justin Verlander, Pablo Lopez. They're all between 14 and 18.8 points, right? Kirby's 18.8, right? Then you still got some, you had Corbin at 11, I mean, because he's cheaper, and Vince Velasquez. I'm not sure if you're playing those guys. Drew Rosinski at 10.
No.
Probably not playing him. I wouldn't put it past you to put any. I mean, to me, this is a stack slate, not a pitcher slate. Like, there's no. I think Kirby will be the highest owned pitcher, but not ridiculously high. I mean, probably 30 to 35%. And then we'll have some flattened ownership around Giolito, Luzardo, Grayson Rodriguez. We'll get around that area. And then some people may play Flaherty. Some people may play Eflin. I'm not a big fan of paying $9,100 for Eflin. Then if you have the money, I guess Verlander is okay. But he's not he's the second highest raw point projected pitcher. Kirby's number 1, and he's 2,000 cheaper. So like Verlander, the difference between Verlander and Luzardo or even like Lopez, like you're basically spending up for an extra like 1 point in median. So like if you're playing a cheap stack and to get an extra 1 point in median, like I guess that's possible. But I think Verlander will be lower owned because he's probably too expensive for his projection. But I don't know if that means people are going to try to just fit him into lineups because you're pretty much able to play most of these stacks and still play Verlander.
Yeah, he feels like a luxury today. I'm kind of with you. Like I'm
not even sure if he's a luxury. I mean, like luxury to what extent? It's not like he projects well. It's just that this is a slate that has a bunch of mid-range level pitchers. They all have flaws. All these pitchers have flaws. We can go through all the 8 pitchers that I mentioned and go, well, this is how he could implode, and like we would get all of them, like all of it, and then you could make a case for all of them to strike out like 10 people, and right? We have like to me, Kirby is probably the safest, right?
Yeah,
he's facing Oakland in Oakland, right? Typically, he doesn't get blown up, right? But like Giolito, he could go out and he could strike out 10, or he could come out after an inning and a half because he's given up 4 home runs, right? Flaherty could walk 6 guys in an inning. I mean, like Luzardo against the Braves. Next thing you know, there's 3 home runs in that game. Corbin, I mean, we're not even.
But he can also strike out 10 Braves, which is what's. I think Luzardo and the Braves.
Same for Grayson Rodriguez against. Oh, it's against the Royals. It's like he could have 3 walks and 4 hits, and next thing you know, his pitch count is 85 in the 3rd inning. Like that, Eflin, same type of thing. Like all of these guys, right? Pablo Lopez. I mean, he could get. I mean, against the White Sox, power, I guess so. But I mean, I would say he's a little bit like lower standard deviation, Pablo Lopez. But
yeah, I mean,
but he's also 9,900. So, like, do you really want to pay 9,900 for Pablo Lopez against the White Sox? But Pablo Lopez can strike out 8, 9 guys also, especially the White Sox lineup, which is typically strikeout heavy. So, like, if you wanted to make a case for like, oh my God, I can't play that guy out of those 8, then don't play. You have 8 options. So to me, like, it's just whatever 2 pitchers out of the 8 fit into my lineup. I'm playing 5 lineups today. Like, I'm virtually not even caring about like what the pitcher combination is, other than, I'm playing stacks in my lineups, and then whatever fits in the rest, it's fine. And I don't, out of my 5 lineups, I'm not sure if I want to I'm not going to go all in on George Kirby. It's like, you can do whatever you want at this point. I don't see anyone that is remarkably over-owned or under-owned at pitcher currently.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm pretty open to one of 6 or 7 guys, depending on what sort of fits with my hitters. By the way, I see people in chat talking about Rodriguez's potential rain delay. I did drop Kevin Roth's article in the chat. And by the way, if you look at like the RotoGrinders lineup page, it suggests like it's got the the red cloud with the thunder lightning bolt, the image of the Colorado game, and it looks pretty dicey according to the hour by hour stuff, but Roth doesn't have it nearly as bad. Of course, he'll be on in an hour to clarify, and that game is at 3 o'clock, so things can change. But he has Kansas City at yellow, Colorado at yellow, Seattle, Oakland's at yellow-green, Washington is green-yellow as well. So nothing that I'm freaking out about just yet. I'm assuming everything's going to play.
Do you freak out over the weather, Dean? Do you normally? There are things
I wouldn't say I
freak you out.
I mean, maybe inside, I wouldn't say I flip out necessarily, but I could be torn on it. I wouldn't say flip out necessarily, but if I see like a orange red, I'm very cautious, right? And I want to hear it Roth.
So you're not freaking out. You're not like running around your house with your hair on fire.
No, I mean, metaphorically freaking out. I should say it's not a literal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just a metaphorical freak out, I suppose. But where I'm just. And that's a situation where I'm just playing either no guys or all, basically stacking the game up and, taking on the variance. But that's not where I'm at right now, essentially. I think I'm assuming everything plays, unless otherwise noted. Plenty of time for stuff. Rain is fluid. Precipitation is fluid. Weather is fluid. So maybe this will change later on the slate. But as of right now, I'm assuming everything is good to go. People, by the way, there was all sorts of Fuddruckers was thrown out in the chat. They're having a good time in the chat. Just talking about places that are defunct. I believe Fuddruckers no longer exists.
Fuddruckers, Red Robin. Is Red Robin still around?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've ever been to a Red Robin. I just know their jingle, but I don't know if I've ever been to a Red Robin before. Yeah, just all sorts of conversation has been sparked today on a Thursday morning. Opinion on Lyles. I don't know if you want to know as far as like actually rostering Jordan Lyles. 100% unnecessary is my opinion on Jordan Lyles if you're considering rostering him. It seems, yeah. Why would we play Jordan Lyles today? We're not, right?
I mean, if you're playing large field GPPs and you're playing very chalky hitters, I guess. But I mean, he's 6,600 and I have him projected for 10 median at like 2% ownership. Like it seems.
Yeah,
it seems
it's not my ownership.
Well, no, it's not mine either. So like,
yeah, I mean, just
like I got his over 16.5 pitching outs on Prize Picks though.
Oh, are you aware? Are you aware that Will, Chief Justice, Will, he has a show that basically leads into your show now, 10:30 in the morning. If you guys woke up early enough, 10:30 in the morning, Will's got the Take Your Pick'em show, and it does talks about such things as Underdog, and it talks about Prize Picks, and it talks about, and I know you're about this too. You keep them to yourself, though. You don't slide into my DMs and let me know what I should wager on. You want them all to yourself, unfortunately. which is
I
fine.
just look at
You
the
do
bad
work.
projections. Just get the bad projections. Look at them and then take them. There you go.
So obviously 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, the numbers get more and more refined. The edges are lost, but if there are soft lines, Will's going to help you guys find them. Check out his Take Your Pick'em show. That is at 10:30 in the morning. He basically leads into your show at 11 o'clock weekdays every single day, and he focuses on things such as Prize Picks and Underdog. And then you can hang out in the prop shop. Hang out in the prop shop. His Discord channel, that is free as well. Not a premium channel. There are some premium channels that is not premium. Oh, and by the way, let's give away before, let's do this in about a half hour or so. I mentioned this yesterday pre-show. Talked to producer Steve. Want to reward the people that for their support in the show. We talk about, all our projections all the time. On the screen, we're always showing up Lineup HQ, and we're talking about building lineups, and always referencing Lineup HQ. Let's give it away. Let's give it away for a week. 1 week free of RG Premium. How do we go about doing that? We mentioned the Discord channel. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat channel. Producer Steve, he wants you to put a thumb up there. Put a thumb in the chat. You will be eligible. He's going to take your YouTube name and throw it in the big wheel. I'm not sure if you've seen the big wheel before, Blender. I don't know if you've been a part of this. Have you been a part of the big wheel giveaway? You know what we're talking about, or no?
I had a big wheel when I was younger.
You bought it from Toys R Us, which sadly is no longer in existence as well. Or maybe it was KB
I
Toys.
had an ET. Mine was an ET one. It had the ET.
Oh, look, you're dating yourself by saying that.
Why?
Well,
that's when I was young. Well, that's when I mean,
yeah,
dude. Why would I have a big? I would have a big wheel
in 1999
years old, and that's like 1983. So yes, I had an ET.
That's what I'm saying. You do the math. You can work backwards. And yeah. That's the saying. Yeah.
But the thing is after like a month or two, the ET part, like the little basket and thing over there, fell off. So then it was just a red big wheel with nothing. Just like nothing.
There was a basket on the big wheel. That's pretty creative. That's good.
No, well, little like it was like a plastic thing that it looked like ET's head, right? Because you're supposed to be on like the bike, and it's like, oh, we're flying in the air, and then that thing fell off. So then it's just like here's a red big wheel.
I haven't seen ET since I was a child. It's probably not that good, right? Is it good? Have you seen it in the last 25 years?
It's a great movie. Why wouldn't it?
Is it? As an adult, with adult eyes and an adult brain,
yeah, it holds up. It's a great movie. Yes, I mean it's a PG movie. I mean it's not like I'm gonna watch ET and I don't remember all this. Oh my God, the sex scenes and the violence and no, of course not. That's not. You
got to get the deleted scenes in the DVD. They made a hard right at the last second. It was
right. ET
it was definitely
Drew Barrymore in that closet. They cut out some of the things that happened.
Did you have the sudden urge to have some Reese's Pieces while you were watching ET? You're not that easily manipulated. The ride at is it Disney? Wherever, not very good. It's kind of casual. So it's just a relaxed ride. I don't know if you've been to that one before. It's Disney or one of those. I
see in the chat that Danny Chen is taking the complete opposite of what you should be taking on Prize Picks. That's
what do you mean?
Like Jameson Tyon, like dude, if you want to grab it now, I have under 4 on both under 4 strikeouts on both Underdog and Prize Picks.
So you're saying Danny is not using the bat, or is not using?
I mean,
didn't watch the Chief show.
Tyon's not going to pitch. How many pitch? Tyon's going to pitch like 60 pitches.
Yeah. All right. Pittsburgh lineup just came out, by the way, for what it's worth. Marcano leading off with Reynolds, McCutchen, Santana, Sawinski, Connor Joe, Hayes, Bay, and DeLay. There you go. There's your Pittsburgh lineup. Still waiting on the Angels, waiting on Milwaukee, Colorado, the White Sox, Atlanta, Miami, Oakland, and Seattle. Lots of lineups still to come. And apparently, by the way, their Red Robin still exists. Many people in chat confirmed. And apparently TJ says Fuddrucker still exists. He had it last week. What? Okay. It's in Saskatchewan, Saskatoon,
Canada. I mean, Canada, they don't get rid of stuff so easily, I guess.
I genuinely thought that was gone. But and I never went. There was one by my house for many, many years, and never tempted by Fuddruckers. But I guess maybe we're missing out. Who knows? And Quiznos and their pepper bar, that's gone. I'm pretty sure that's gone, right? I think that's no longer exists. Jersey Mike's bumped them off or something like that. Maybe Subway. Just they couldn't hang for whatever reason. All right. Other pitchers. Well, let's talk about the pitchers, by the way. Is there somebody you're taking a stand on, or you're just basically they're all sort of projected, basically kind of sort of some of the same? You mentioned between 14 and 18 points, and you're more focused on stacks and like whichever pitcher happens to work salary wise. We do a little more of a salary cap, and that's that. Is that basically your approach as far as pitching today?
Pretty much. I mean, I think my pitching pool is pretty much going to be Kirby, Giolito, Flaherty, Luzardo, Grayson Rodriguez, Eflin, Verlander, Pablo Lopez. I mean, like probably have less of Lopez and Verlander, but yeah, something like that. I mean, probably it's going to be more like Kirby, Giolito, Luzardo, Grayson, I guess. I'm only playing 5 lineups, so like how many pitchers end up in those lineups, but some combination of that type of. But if you told me that you like one over the other, then fine. But the ownership that I see right now, like I said before, I don't think any of these pitchers are over-owned or under. I think the ownership efficiency seems fairly in line, right? So like when ownership efficiency is pretty in line, it almost becomes, it doesn't matter to me who I'm playing. It's just like, well, for their range of outcomes, they're owned at the rate that they should be owned. So I'm going to focus more on getting under-owned bats rather than care about leverage at pitcher because there really isn't any. I mean, unless something changes dramatically, like I don't see why George Kirby will end up being 65% owned. Like he'll be the most owned, but I don't see him being that owned. Like to that extent, where you'd be like, okay, he's obviously over, right? I don't see Giolito being like 40% owned when he probably should only be 25% owned. Like I just don't see the projections of these pitchers are too close that it's not going to cause one to be dramatically more owned than some of the others. So that's why in those cases I just don't worry about it as much at all, right? I care more about the bats, and we have plenty of. To me, the bats are what you're going to win because we have plenty of. I mean, we have decent totals on the slate. I mean, the Cubs have almost a 5 total. The Rays have almost a 5 total. The Cardinals have almost a 5 total. Baltimore has a 5.5 total. Right? Obviously, we have Coors. They both have high totals. Seattle has over a 5 total. So we're not going to get we're not going to have a slate where like, oh, stacks, the chalk stacks are like 20% owned. It's like, no, it's going to be like, you get to choose. There are many stacks on this slate out of those teams that, they can put up 8+ runs and be in the winning GPP lineup. And it's not going to be as owned as you think. I mean, Coors isn't going to be as owned maybe as it should be. Or maybe it will be. I don't know. But I'm saying like there's a lot more options. It's not like you got Coors and then a bunch of games where like every team is like 4.2 implied total or below. It's like, no, we actually do have some offense on the slate. Right? Unlike yesterday. It seemed like yesterday there was barely any offense on the slate.
Yeah, especially as the slate played out. I don't know if I got like a double yesterday, let alone a homer. Well, I did get I think Suarez in like the 10th inning or something like that, but my hitting lineups were not very good at all. But DFS, we care about today and today only. For yesterday, let's forget about it. Who cares? We're back to 0. You mentioned the Mariners. The Mariners, tough ballpark there in Oakland. Obviously, that's the only real hiccup. Drew Rosinski is a journeyman. He's not a prospect. He's 34 years old. Dude pitched in the KBO for like 5 years. He can't strike out guys there. Can't strike out guys here. Backed up by the worst bullpen in baseball. Their ERA, and we don't talk ERA a lot, at least I don't. Their bullpen ERA is like 7, which is just outrageous. The Sierra is right around 6, so it's not like they've been like terribly unlucky. They're just horrific. I talked about this yesterday as well. Oakland, as a team, has given up 1.5 more runs per average than the second worst team in baseball, which again, outrageous. They're not a real baseball team. They're not a serious baseball team. Jonah Hill is not walking through that door. Brad Pitt is not walking through that door. It's just an embarrassment. They cannot wait to get to Vegas, basically. I think Vegas is going to throw them $500 million. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, they're going to be leaving Oakland very soon. And I think what they're doing now is like they're fudging the numbers the other way. You know how like every team like fudges the numbers as far as attendance, and they say like, oh, it's 12,000 people, and like the Marlins like, no, it's clearly like 4,000 people. But they count everything and they double check and they multiply it by 4. I think Oakland is like doing the opposite. Like their attendance number is like 2,000 people, and that actually probably is accurate, which is just so sad and so embarrassing with that organization. But yeah, the Mariners look really good. We should get Cal Raleigh. the big dumper, because he did not play yesterday. He came off the bench, so I assume he's going to start today. A lot of times you get the legit catchers resting on the back half, of a day-night deal. I assume Raleigh will face Racinski and be good to go. If you're considering or wondering about, catchers resting in the back half, just got an Angels lineup. Is it standard? Neto, Ohtani. Oh, no Trout. No Mike Trout today for the Angels. Ugh. I mean, I didn't want to play Jack
They'll
Flaherty.
bump up Flaherty, I guess, a little, right?
It definitely will. Neto, he actually left yesterday's game too, so I guess nice to see he's back. But Neto, Ohtani, Renfroe, Rendon, Lamb, Ward, Theis, Rengifo, and Brett Phillips. That is a terrible lineup. Man, I did not want to consider Jack Flaherty, but he's been better as far as his walks. Like he's like in the pool or in the vicinity of the pool, and he's pretty cheap. Ballpark's fine, and that Angels lineup is really putrid. I guess, yeah, if you're MMA, I think Flaherty should be in your pool now. I think that's enough.
He was in my pool before, even with Trout in. So, like,
he wasn't in mine. I mean, he was like 9 or 8 or something like that for me. But who does he jump for you? Or I guess, and the projections are going to boost it, I'm sure. Obviously, give it a minute for it to figure it out. But massive downgrade, the absence of Mike Trout there in that Angels lineup. It just looks so putrid. I feel like it's missing somebody else too. Is it 2 guys that it's missing?
No, Ward and Renfroe are in there, and Rendon are in there.
Phillips. There's at least another guy. I think
it's lineup. It's the normal. The Angels are like, we have a couple of good players, and everyone else sucks, and then we're never gonna make the playoffs until our best players leave, right? Like that's what it's gonna be, right? And isn't that the joke tweet where it's like the Angels, like to recap any Angels game is like Mike Trout hit 3 home runs. Joey Ohtani did something that has not happened
in the game 17 people
since 1918. He's the only player to hit 2 doubles and strike out 12 in a single game. Angels lose 8-3, right? Like something like that's like every game.
Drury's the other guy, by the way. I knew it was somebody else. Thank you, chat. Mr. Donk and TJ.
Okay.
Yeah, no Drury and no Trout. It's a bad Angels lineup. Ohtani is like the John Travolta from like Pulp Fiction gif, just kind of looking around. Wait, like where are the good players? Where are my good teammates? No Urshela either. It's just bad. Not that Urshela is great.
I don't think Urshela matters that much.
Well, but like Brett Phillips, I think is worse. Jake Lamb might be worse. He's the guy that probably gets kicked out at some point if a lefty comes in. But whatever. Jake Lamb, if you want to one off him, or he's a super cheap punt. Other pitchers of notes, so Flaherty enters the conversation. We talked about Kirby. Luzardo, again, the ownership of Luzardo to me is weird. Maybe I'm missing something, but, nice K rate, obviously, but Atlanta's a tough matchup. Good ballpark from the pitching as well, so I get it. But he can also walk too many guys. Giolito is popping to some extent, too, against Minnesota. You're going to get discount on Giolito. But, the Ks just keep going down every single year. Mentioned Verlander, his issue. The matchup, by the way, Detroit. Have you seen the plate IQ on Detroit? It's outrageous. Very, very good.
Yeah, but look at Scherzer gave up. Look what happened with him yesterday.
Well, he's Tigers like 90.
And they scored like 6 runs.
Yeah, okay, but that's I know you're not the guy that says what happened yesterday is what's gonna happen today.
Well, that's what everyone else will say, right?
Yeah. It's all red. Like, look at the strikeouts. Look at the WOBA. 26.8% average strikeouts. This team, Kuna of strikeouts versus righties dating back to last season. Verlander is kind of reverse splitsy when it comes to his Ks, and I guess Detroit was smart about this. They only put 3 lefties in there. McKinstry, Green, and Maton, but they're all up top, so he sees those guys probably 3 times. That's probably like the cutoff, right? He probably doesn't go through the lineup 3 times altogether, depending on how efficient he is, obviously. You really can't predict that kind of stuff, but there's a decent chance he goes 2 times around, maybe 2.5. And then if he wants to get McKinstry, Green, and Maton, then they're all 27, 29, 30%. Man, it's a lot of potential Ks there. Verlander last season, 27.7% Ks is pretty good. Wait, why is Delonte saying Ohtani out? Otani's not out, right? Unless something changed.
No,
that would be outrageous. They kicked him out of the lineup too. All right. Maybe they mean this be saying Trout. I'm not really sure. Grayson Rodriguez is really good from a K perspective so far this year. I do believe he's had some cake matchups, if that matters to you. I think he's placed Detroit several times in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Uber prospect, obviously. Yeah, Grayson Rodriguez, a little bit uneven as far as walks, depending on. Wait, several people are saying Otani is out. Is Otani out of the lineup? What am I missing? I did not see him out.
I see the Rockies. The Rockies lineup. No McMahon. No Grichuk. Yeah, the Rockies lineup is Blackman, Profar, Bryant, Crone, Moustakas, Trejo, Tovar, Doyle, Servin. Boy, that bottom half of that lineup.
Yeah, and I feel like we keep doing this. Like, the Rockies are bad. I know they're in Coors Field, but it's just a bad lineup. Sitting some of those lefties, L on L with Miley pitching on the other side. Milwaukee looks distinctly better. We're expecting Yelich, Winker, Adames, Tellez, Contreras, Anderson, Terang, Taylor, and Weimer for what it's worth on the Milwaukee side. Probably not going to grab that one. We'll see. We'll get it at some point in the middle of the show. Well, maybe Crunch Time gets it, or maybe at some point in the middle of the slate. I think Lopez is the interesting one for tournaments, 15% where he's currently at. That White Sox lineup, it's just not very good. We've seen a spike this year in strikeouts for Lopez. So I think he's one of those guys that could potentially be the top pitching, just raw points on this slate. And ownership's not, like you said, it's pretty flat, 15%. Basically play who you want amongst the ones that are worth playing. I like Eflin a little bit, but I think he's just a little bit too expensive for a guy that probably is not going to pitch that deep. You mentioned the Rays. No, Brandon Lau is kind of annoying. Not sure why, but I think he's healthy, to the best of my knowledge. But Lau not being in that lineup. Now there's Josh. I think that's Josh Lowe. Not sure. But no Brandon Lau.
Is he related to Nate?
Two of them are related. There's another one in the. I can't keep track. There's another one too coming in the Tampa organization.
Where do they shop for their home? For their home.
Oh, Home Depot. Home Depot.
Right. They slide shop at Home Depot. Oh, okay. Okay.
I know what you're doing. Yes. Is there one that's like defunct? What did Lowe's take over?
Pergament.
What is it?
Pergament.
I don't know what that is.
Never heard of Pergament? I guess that's only a Northeast thing.
I think it's a regional thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pergament.
Pergament. Right.
Aaron's telling us
then
that
all of a sudden
Josh
it's all
brothers.
Home Depot. It's all Lowe's. It's all the corporate conglomerates.
Yeah. Yeah. Alan's letting us know about Bed Bath & Beyond. What are you going to do with all your 20% off Bed Bath & Beyond coupons?
I don't know. How about National Wholesale Liquidators? Ever hear of that?
I've seen the commercial for it, but I am so not a handsy person. Miserable. You want to make me miserable? Take me to Home Depot. I hate Home Depot.
You know why I know a lot of these
the
regional
smell is
stores?
bad. What?
I know a lot of these regional stores that sell those types of stuff because my father worked for a distributor that sold to all those types of stores. So he was responsible for going around and doing the inventory on like the window blinds and window shades and all that type. So if you ever went into like a Lowe's or something and it's like, oh, here's the new window shade and it's all set up, like basically he drove around into like the Northeast area and he would just stop in and go like, okay, let's check the 32-inch ones are here and make sure that all the inventory and they ordered the right stuff and then go to the next store. And not a very entertaining job, but that's what he did. So that's why I now like all of those types of retailers. Like if you want to tell me, right, I know all of them, and if I remember when I'm 10 years old or something like that, I could hear like what type of window blinds or something that the treatment stuff that they sell.
Do you like or dislike the smell of Home Depot? Because that feels like it'd be a topic of conversation in chat. Because I don't like that. The smell of like
does it have a smell?
Wood.
Does Home Depot have? I don't go to Home Depot.
There's no air conditioning. Spring for some AC. Come on, Home Depot. Come on. What are we doing?
Is there not a? Is there a smell? Is there a
Home Depot society?
Smell?
Yeah, the sawdust. It's not good. I don't like it.
Does it smell any different from Lowe's? Does Lowe's smell different?
I feel like universally those kind of stores probably have a similar smell. I think it's a comp. I would imagine so. But again, I try to avoid these places at all costs.
I don't know if there's a smell. I've been to Home Depot. To me, it doesn't feel like there's a smell. There's a specific smell.
Yeah, well, ask your father, I suppose. He's got
there,
a bigger sample size.
I'm gonna type it into Google. Does Home Depot have a smell?
Smells like shop class in high school. Yeah, that's not a terrible comp. Yeah.
Does Home Depot have a smell?
It smells like lumber.
It's at Quora, according to Quora. Oh, it says, people say it does have a smell. It says it's a complex bouquet of lumber, sawdust, house paint, spray paint, VOCs, PVC pipes, plastic paper, metal, linoleum, cleaners, scented detergents, air fresheners, petroleum, new carpets and rugs, glue, silicone, potting soil, bark, manure, fertilizers, pesticides, and depending on the season, petunias.
Yeah, so the chat's with me, by the way, as far as it having a distinct smell. Some saying they like it, which I guess they want to. It's a very masculine smell, apparently, according to the chat. Devin wants to know, do we know of the Spencer's Gifts smell? I just know Spencer's Gifts is like the store you went into when you're like 14 and you laugh at half the things and you don't buy anything. And,
does anyone buy anything from Spencer Gifts? You see,
no,
here's this little Practical Joe thing. It's $74. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to buy that.
This is funny. Let's mess with it for 5 minutes, then we'll walk away. And then the store person comes over and puts it back where it's supposed to be. And that's their entire show. The primary scent is latex. Oh, okay. I think I see where we're going with that at Spencer's. Fair enough. Have not been to a Spencer's. I think you got to be under like 24 to get in. You got to show them your ID. And if you're over 24, they will not let you in Spencer's. I'm fairly certain that's where the cutoff is. But I haven't tried to get in of late, to be fair. Anything else that we should say as far as pitchers here, Blender? I mean, we kind of, we have opinions. I guess I have more opinions than you do. You're just kind of like whoever fits your stack. Give me your final thoughts as far as pitchers.
I like I said before, I have 8 pitchers in my pool.
Somebody just joined the show 5 minutes ago, Blender. They're not going to be here for the entire 2 hours.
They're not going to be here for the entire 2 hours. I'm in the middle of trying to find out if Home Depot, if a ChatGPT thinks Home Depot has a smell. That's what I'm trying.
These are important things,
right? Important things. Like I said before, that there are like 8 pitchers between 14 and 18 point projection. That's Kirby, Giolito, Flaherty, Luzardo, Grayson Rodriguez, Eflin, Verlander, and Lopez. They're not much different from one another. They're all owned seemingly at around efficient ownership numbers. So I don't think you have an edge playing one over the other at this very moment. So whatever 2 fit, I would just pick 2 out of those 8.
So I just gave a refresh. We have a new batch of ownership, by the way. The MLB Plate IQ projections, which you would get for free if you win yourself 1 week free of RG Premium. If you happen to have RG Premium, you get that as well. Just for the record, we're going to give away a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Go to rotogrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat channel. Just hit that thumb up. In about 10 minutes or so, producer Steve's going to jump on and spin the wheel. Whoever name it lands on, you get an entire week free at RotoGrinders Premium. Not just that, not just baseball, but all the sports. Football, baseball, basketball. There is football going on, allegedly. MMA, there's golf, everything with the exception of NASCAR. NASCAR, it's its own thing. It's a la carte. But everything else you all get for free. The Optimizer, you get the articles, you get Dave Potts' article, you get the expert survey, you get the expert rankings. Too much stuff to mention. But again, all you got to do is just jump in that rotogrinders.com/Discord, jump in the live stream chat channel, hit a thumb up, and then there you are eligible to win yourself a week free. I did a refresh here, Blender. Kirby is now at 45% on DK. He's kind of separating himself from the field. And again, the matchup against Oakland's popping, and pretty good K guy, not spectacular, fine, but awesome control. Luzardo at 27%. Again, that one is really surprising me. 21% for Giolito, 20% for Verlander. Grayson Rodriguez, 20%. Flaherty up to 17%. I think that jumped a little bit with that matchup. I like Lopez at 14%. I don't know why. I'm not playing Raczynski at 5%. I'm not playing 100 lineups. And even if I was, I don't think I'm scraping that barrel against Seattle. Let's talk about stacks. And again, if you guys are first time here, there's still an hour and 20 minutes or so until lock. We're going to yield to the crunch time crew. They're going to go around the horn. They'll spoon feed you the fair plays, position by position. Happy to do that. favorite catcher, favorite first baseman. We sort of talk in the broader sense as far as the slate, and whatever y'all want us to talk about, we're happy to do so. Feel free to fire it off in chat. Why don't you talk about so-and-so? Well, we're happy to do so. Enter the conversation. We're going to talk stacks now, and if we're not talking about the stack you want us to talk about, we will do that as well. Blender, what are you seeing from a stack perspective? Because we have the Cubs versus Patrick Corbin. That's interesting. We have a Coors game. That is interesting. A 12 total. Drew Asinski in that terrible bullpen. A 5 total for Seattle. That's certainly interesting. Contrarian-wise, just the Braves every single day. Every day you're supposed to play yourself some Brave stacks. Luzardo, pretty good pitcher, terrible ballpark, but they're going to be under-owned. The Mets, it's like they don't even exist on the slate. But you can play the Mets against Erod if you want. Sure, why not? What is your first thought when it comes to stacks? What's over-owned? What's under-owned?
Okay, from running bat projections, the top stacks from an expectation perspective compared to their price, Coors is number one. I mean, but that's quite obvious. I mean, they obviously with the 6+ implied run total, Milwaukee's going to be number one. The Brewers 1, the Rockies 2. Now, the interesting part is after that. I would put them in a bucket. So, like, you know how I like to do buckets here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I have the top Milwaukee stack. Now, Colorado is going to be different because Colorado's lineup still has to update. So I'm not going to go into Colorado yet. So Milwaukee's top stack lineup is 117 projection wise. And I'm not considering ownership at this point. This is just top expectation. After the Brewers and the Rockies, and like I said, the Rockies isn't in yet, so I can't get a number. The next bucket down, I mean, there's a big jump. So to put things into perspective, the top lineup in the first bucket is 117, and that's the Brewers. The next lineup for anything that's not the Brewers or the Rockies jumps down 4 points. So that means now we're into the second bucket. And that second bucket has what it looks like 4 teams in it. Okay, so this is a 4-team secondary bucket. And these would be the teams that I'm looking to play more of. So, Dean, we'll play the guessing game.
Can I guess?
Sure. What 4 teams are in the second bucket?
So the very first bucket was just Milwaukee by himself, correct?
Milwaukee and Colorado. Right, I'm assuming Colorado is going to be in there. It's just that I still need to wait for the bat projections to update the Colorado Rockies lineup, so I get all of them in a stack. So, like, once that happens, Colorado will be in the first bucket.
Just want to mention, 33-game sample, not a huge sample, but the weather does not look spectacular today in Washington. In a 33-game sample, Weather Edge has it at a negative 48 homer expectation. I shouldn't say expectation, but the history of 33 similar weather games being played in this ballpark. It doesn't matter who's playing. The players don't matter. It's just the actual data, just all about weather. A huge hit when it comes to homers. 33 games, not a huge sample, just worth acknowledging. 58 degrees, kind of a
know what's a huge boost to home runs, though? Facing Patrick Corbin.
Yes. So I think that outweighs it. But I do think that Cubby team total did take a slight hit. I feel like it was over 5 at one point. Unless I'm making that up. But now it's down, if you want to get all tactical, according to our lineups page, 4.84. And like Swanson still looks fine. Wisdom, oh my God, they moved them all the way up to 6 today. It's almost like he's leading the majors in homers. They're close to it. Good for him.
So are you guessing Cubs in that bucket of the 4 teams that are in that second bucket?
I think they should be.
You'd be correct. Chicago, out of that 4, would be the second out of that 4.
I think Baltimore. I mentioned Baltimore before. Baltimore against Jordan Lyles. By the way, good weather today in Kansas City. 106-game sample, a boost of 10% in homers, 3.6% in runs. Obviously, not the best ballpark to smack out homers there in Kansas City, but we have a breeze, 10 miles per hour, left center field, 72 degrees in Kansas City. Jordan Lyles, one of the rougher pitchers in the slate. I like that Baltimore lineup, but 5.45 is the total. Like, there's no way they're not in this bucket. They're not in this bucket. This game is defunct because they got to be in the bucket.
Yeah, they're the top team in the second bucket.
Yeah. Okay. So those 2 are in the bucket. I wonder. Oh, the Mariners. The Mariners got to be in the bucket against Racinski. I don't care where they're playing this game.
The Mariners are the first team in the third bucket. They
All
just
right.
missed the second bucket, Dean. They just missed. I think it's more due to price.
Okay.
Price
fair
and because Kalenic is now 4,400, Julio Rodriguez is 5,800, right? Cal Raleigh, Ty France, like they're okay. I mean, their ceiling is fine. It's just that I think for the positional, the way that their positions line up, they're in the third bucket. But I mean, they're the top of the third bucket. So if you want to say that they're the bottom of the second bucket, that's fine with me also. And also,
I think
Jake
you should add
Berger
another
was Jake
bucket and
Berger
put him in
just
the second
scratched?
tier. But that's me.
By the way,
Who?
Jake Berger is the White Sox lineup came out, and there's no Jake Berger. He's on the IL.
I think he left yesterday's game with an injury.
And there's no Tim
Vaughn,
Anderson.
Jimenez. Yeah. Zavala's their catcher as well. Sosa, Elvis Sanders. I'm going backwards, but okay, yeah, IL spot there for Jake Berger. I liked Lopez earlier. I think I like him a little bit more now. So who was their normal catcher? Grandal. Grandal kind of stinks now anyway. But yeah, Zavala, I don't think he's any better than Grandal. Getting the day game after the night game. Benintendi, Vaughn, Jimenez, Sheets, Robert, Alberto, Anders, Sosa, Zavala. Other teams in that bucket. Is Atlanta in that bucket or no? Are they getting
nope?
Because
Atlanta
expensive. The ballpark
Atlanta's in the third Atlanta's in the third bucket. Like Atlanta and Seattle are like next to each other in that third bucket.
It's definitely not the Angels. So the Rays have like some cheap guys and some expensive guys, and there's no Brandon Lau, but I guess they're in this bucket. The way
they're not. They're not even in the third. They're the bucket below that. They're a fourth bucket stack.
Who's left? Who did I miss?
Okay, there's two teams that are in the second bucket that you're missing. One shouldn't surprise you based on the team total, and one may surprise you.
We said Baltimore.
Right, you got Baltimore and you got Chicago. You got the Cubs. You got the Orioles and the Cubs, yes.
And Milwaukee and Colorado, we're not talking about,
Colorado in the
right?
first bucket. Those are first bucket teams.
TJ's guessing Miami.
Yes, Miami's the third team in the second bucket. Yes, the Marlins.
I mean, Dylan Dodd's been shaky professionally. Okay, talking about the Marlins.
Look at the Marlins have a 4.25 implied run total, and their team is cheap as hell. Look at their projected lineup. Birdie at 3K, leading off. Segura at 2,900. Gurriel at 2,700. Soler at 44. Fortes at 26. Chisholm 53. Sure, yeah, Chisholm's there. And maybe you disregard kind of the bottom of the Peyton Burdicks in their lineup. But I mean,
I don't believe that's a real person, Peyton Burdick. I refuse
Peyton
to believe
whatever
a person named
Peyton player in there. I mean, I have the Marlins lineups coming up higher than. I mean, I have the top stack combination of like Soler, Segura, Birdie, Gurriel, Fortes, right? And then you could even in that lineup you could play Adames, Yelich, and Acuna, and you're playing Kirby and Flaherty at pitcher. So it's like I look at this and go, okay, why can't you play the Marlins? So yeah, the Marlins are in the second bucket. Yes, they are. I'm with TJ. I'm with Spidey.
Can't do it.
I'm with TJ. What are we doing with the wheel now? What's the wheel going to do?
Yeah, do we have? What do you mean? We talked about the wheel the whole time. You're not paying attention.
We're
We're talking
away two winners are going to get a week of premium.
Oh, I thought this was
we're giving two out.
time. I didn't know it was.
We have so many people today. We'll do two people.
All right, we're going to give two outs. Obviously, we can't double down, not the same person, but 1 week free of RG Premium. Let's spin that wheel, Steve. Who are you rooting for, Blender? You want to bet on this? You want to wager on this?
I can't even see who's on the wheel. I can't see
who's pick a color. What color is the chalk? I don't know.
How did people even get on the wheel to begin with?
Producer Steve's doing work, man.
I don't even know how this works.
Were you not paying attention the whole time?
I'll go with I'll bet whichever one is the highest projected person.
Here's the first one.
I'll look at the projections.
I have a projection model, the wheel.
I'll take a low-owned person.
Monster 01 with the first win. Let's remove him.
Shout out to Monster.
Right. And here is the second.
Jetty wants to buy a vowel.
A-Fed 91. All
We
right.
had a red-blue exacta box. I don't know if you had that Blender, but red-blue was the exacta box. That was win in place.
Yeah, but the colors are random, right? We don't know who they're going to be and then what color.
Yes.
Yes, it's all random.
It's all random. Primary colors. Like what else is it going to be? We didn't have magenta. We didn't have chartreuse. We didn't have anything exciting.
What was the second one after magenta?
I want a larger wheel, Dean. I only play DFS wheels on the largest slates, not these small slates.
You need 30,000 entries in order to play the wheel. Yeah,
yes,
well, I assume
30,000 entries.
Producer Devin is lurking. I imagine Producer Devin's going to contact you guys in the Discord and hook y'all up. You'll get you juiced up for a week free of RG Premium. We'll do this again at least once a week. Yeah, Devin's going to hook you guys up. Thank you, Devin. There you go. He's going to put it on your account instantly within a few minutes. And you might have to like sign out and sign back in or something like that for it to kick in. But thanks for playing, and we shall move on. 10 minutes until crunch time comes in. Blender, plenty of time to answer some questions in chat. If you have like a 2v2 or 1v1 questions, Blender loves those. So ask those questions. I'm sure he'll be happy to.
You still haven't guessed the last team in the second bucket.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's the Marlins, which I take umbrage with the Marlins being higher than who are they higher than that I thought was kind of egregious?
Mariners and the Braves, they're higher. Yes.
Yeah. Come on. Get out of town. They're not higher than the Mariners. I'm not buying it. But what's the next team?
Price thing, Dean. It's price related.
Yeah, yeah. Well, wait. If we're saying it's a price thing, are the Angels that can play?
I mean, the Angels are in like that fourth bucket. I mean, yeah, they're
cheap,
they're around,
but they're bad.
What are the team? I mean,
you know what it is? Oh, it's
pretty easy.
The Royals?
No.
I'm looking. You have me looking at price now.
No, look at the team totals. Look at the team totals, Dean.
The Mets. What am I missing? What team?
They're even saying people have guessed it in chat already. Maybe they should be on the show. Maybe they should replace you.
Oh, the Twins. Okay. Yeah.
No, sure. It's not the Twins. No, not those. What? Don't listen to those people.
Who have we not said?
It's the Cardinals, Dean. It's the Cardinals. Hello. Come on.
Oh, but have you read STL Cards chat tweets? Every single day they get sadder and sadder. I'm told that the worst team in baseball, according to STL Cards. So, yeah, Griffin Canning's not great. We prefer the Cardinals against lefties, but Canning's not spectacular. Yeah. I don't know why I was ignoring St. Louis. They're fine. Sell me on St. Louis. Okay.
There's nothing to sell me. I mean, they have a 4.84 blind team total. I'll play them. I mean, like their prices have come down. Other than Goldschmidt, their prices are coming down because they're not doing very well. Right?
Nolan Arenado on FanDuel, by the way, is 2.8, which is like, I don't know when the last time we saw him at 2.8K, but I know he's not been spectacular, but 2.8K for Arenado seems really, really cheap. Yeah, Victor's saying the Cardinals are the worst team in baseball. I mean, it's been a rough start for them. I mean, come on. The A's are still in baseball, theoretically. They're still wearing uniforms. So they're in baseball, technically. They have not been booted out of the league just yet. Alan wants to know Cubs or Mariners for a stack. I'm awful at the bucket game. I came out strong, and I just did not close strong. Poor job I made to close this out. You have a lean as far as the Cubbies or the Mariners? Those are two of my favorites.
The Cubs, based on the lineups that you can make in the bat, project for better than the Mariners. But it obviously depends on the rest of your lineup, but there are going to be a little bit more Cubs lineups that you could make with a higher expectation than the Mariners lineups. But I mean, I'm not against the Mariners. It's just if you force me to choose, I'm choosing the Cubs. And now we have a Brewers lineup that just came out. Let's see if it's any different than projected.
How does it look?
Yelich, Winker, Adames, Tellis, Anderson, Caratini, Terang, Taylor, Weimer. So basically just Contreras is out and Caratini.
That's a big one.
Right. So you get Caratini.
Which, like Adley Rushman looks a little bit better by comparison now, right? Sal Perez looks a little bit better. Big dumper Kyle Rowley. I assume he's going to jump in the lineup today. I just like oh, never mind. I was going to go down the route I probably shouldn't go down. It's just Oakland and their history of sewage issues, and then the big dumper Kyle Rowley. Like I like that sort of I like those two things.
Does Oakland
combining.
have sewage issues? I never knew that was the thing.
Oh yeah, it's an old ballpark, and they put band-aids on things. They don't really care to fix anything.
Do they even need like sewage, or there's only like 17 people that come out to those games?
But still, they need a guy to check at least once a month or so. And that guy is not, he's too busy going to Fuddruckers, and he's just not coming around. They don't care.
Fuddruckers in Oakland? I have to check to see if that's the case.
I can't confirm on that. I don't know, but it's just an entirely disastrous organization out there. I've taken my shots at Oakland. I feel bad for the fan base because they seem like really good fans, and I love during the playoffs. It was an awesome atmosphere, but geez, whatever's left of them, I feel bad for them. Once a really storied franchise, right? Some of the best teams in baseball historically. All right, let's move on from that. By the way, second base. I know you don't like positional conversation, but second base again, not spectacular. Horner's pretty interesting versus Patrick Corbin leading off. Who was the other one that was kind of sort of somewhat interesting? Oh, another cheapie I like in that team. First base, kind of an opportunity cost. You can play yourself some CJ Crone. You talk about Goldie. I like as a cheapie Trey Mancini against Patrick Corbin. I think he was my favorite cheapie on the slates when I was doing the survey last night. Do you have a favorite cheapie, or you don't care to consider such things? You don't care about
building lineups. I don't even know who's in. A lot of times I'm picking my lineups like, okay, that guy's in there. Who cares? Okay, move on. I'm not playing one-off people. It's whatever fits. I'm assuming I'm going to get second Bryce Terang at second base if I'm playing one-offs, probably.
Yeah, but isn't he like Terang's not he's a guy that has some speed basically. If he's going to be heavily
playing in a ballpark that's 30% bigger outfield, so he can get doubles and triples. So,
yes.
Yeah, so isn't that the whole point?
Sure, but I'm talking to the guy who runs away from players that they have 20% ownership sometimes, right? And he's going to be heavily owned. So that's kind of the point that I'm making on the other side of it. Yes, Terang makes a lot of sense from a salary reason, from a opportunity cost reason, but from actually building lineups and to be different reason, maybe Terang is not the best play. And he's probably not going to homer. Now, he might hit one in the gap. And like you said, Colorado is a really good place for triples and doubles. And he can do that. But, I don't know. If you're playing cash games, he probably is your guy. Tyron Taylor's another one who's he's got some power when he gets a hold of it. But that's few and far between sometimes. And he's super, super cheap. And I don't know if I want to necessarily play him or be over the field on him in tournaments. I mentioned Buxton is one of my favorite tournament plays. I'm not sure what kind of ownership he's going to grab, but I love him against reverse splitsy Lucas Giolito. Let's see. Other stacks that are kind of jumping out for you that are sort of interesting. Have you kind of honed in on what your stack's going to be for your single entry, or you're not there just yet?
For my single, I'm playing 5 lineups. So I'm playing one single entry and 4 kind of semi-large field type of lineups. The more and more I'm leaning towards Marlins. From an ownership perspective, Marlins.
Why though? It's not necessary because look, there's the Cubs, there's Baltimore, there's Seattle, there's Coors. You mentioned St. Louis, Minnesota. It's just you have good teams, actual good teams with actual good players that are not going to be owned. Why go to the Marlins?
I don't know. I have to judge on how owned the Brewers are going to be in the 121.
Yeah,
it comes down to if I play a Marlins 5-man stack, I'm going to be playing 3 Brewers in that lineup, obviously, because I think that the Marlins are going to be quite low owned in the 121. That I don't need to give up any more projection. But if I don't play the Marlins, and I don't want. The thing is, I don't want to play the Brewers in the 121.
You don't have to. That's it.
Maybe the Orioles or the Cubs. I feel like if I play the Orioles or the Cubs, maybe I won't need to play any Brewers in that line.
I agree with that. I'm fine with that too, and I might have that approach also. But I'm not going to stoop to the Marlins. Maybe I have a little bit of bias.
Well, I will have a Marlins line. Out of my 5 lineups, I will have a Marlins line. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. By the way, Braves lineup just came out. Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Murphy. Murphy's catching. Albies, Grissom, Ozuna is DHing. Rosario and Pilar. That is your Braves lineup. So I think think that's yeah. By the way, Austin Riley's 3K on FanDuel, another cheapie on FanDuel. 3K on FanDuel seems really, really good. Have at it. Enjoy yourself with Austin Riley. All right. How many pitches for Verlander? I believe the bat had him at 85, which is
89. No, I think it was 89. 89?
Oh.
Yeah, 89. He's currently he's at 89.
Okay. Did that jump up? Or did I make that number up? Because I thought it was 85.
I think no, you just made it. I think you just made it up.
That's 20 more pitches that he threw in his one rehab start where he went, I think, about 5 innings or so. I want to say he struck out 6 and maybe walked 1. Yeah, I mean, do not expect 100 pitches out of Verlander, but like he's facing Detroit, and certainly he can get a lot out of 89 pitches if he's efficient. Don't mind him today. Give me a solid pitcher. Bugsy wants you to know, give me a solid pitcher. There's like 6 or 7. Who do you want to give him?
Well, Kirby would be the highest projected one.
Yeah, but that's like the
well, that's what you
What's
asked for, Dean. Yeah, give me a solid pitcher. Well, here's the solid pitcher. Well, everyone thinks that. Well, that's why they're a solid pitcher.
When are we gonna get to ask Blender 1v1 questions? I mean, you could have asked it there instead of that question. I would have been happy.
Bud Rutgers versus Red Robin. Is that the 1v1 question? Are we asking?
Yeah, I'm not qualified to answer that one. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever been to a Bud Rutgers.
Is Red Robin's fast food, right? I think it's fast food.
No, Red Robin is more like Applebee's, like that type of place.
Okay. Yeah.
They're known for their burgers and their shakes, and well, they're known like maybe from 1974 for that, but like I don't know. There was a Red Robin near me.
Nobody goes to Spencer's and can tell you about Bud Rutgers. You know, Spencer's like the 20-year-old.
Ground Round. There's another. That's a northeastern one, right?
What is it?
Ground Round.
Don't know it.
I think.
Rad Dad Fanny Pack wants to know about Giolito versus Flaherty.
I prefer Flaherty now with Trout and the Angels' weaker lineup.
Neither one are
both of those guys. You have to hold your nose.
Yeah,
I mean, Flaherty could walk 6 guys, and Giolito could give up 17 home runs in 2 innings. So I mean, like, they're both high volatile pitchers, but I would put the lean on Flaherty over Giolito by a small amount just because of the Angels lineup being weak
today. By the way, apparently Ground Round is gone according to Joe in chat. So,
do you know Friendlies, right? You know Friendlies.
I'm aware of Friendlies. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's like an ice cream, but like they have like burgers too and stuff, right?
Right. It's Steak and Shake. It's like the nicer version of Steak and Shake or something. Like they're all the same place. These are all the same places.
Same bucket? You're saying same bucket? Steak and
Shake.
They're
all in the same, right. They're all in the same bucket. If you took off the signage from like these places, like you wouldn't be able to and just ate the food. Here's food. You go, is it from one of these places? You'd have no clue.
But the ice cream, you'd be able to tell it was Friendlies instead of Steak and Shake.
Okay, the ice cream, yes, that would be true. But the burgers, it's like, oh, this is definitely a Red Robin burger. Like, yeah, get out of here. You can't tell.
I mean, a nicer version of Steak and Shake sounds amazing. That place is fantastic.
Can they put that on their like in their brochure? Like, come to Friendlies, aka the nicer version. You guys know Steak and Shake. If you like that, then you'll love. Hey, Butter, just a quick question for you. Or you're running away. Or maybe you're not.
No, I'm here. What's up?
I never really had to answer this, and I suppose maybe you're making a bunch of lineups. That's why somebody's asking this. But how high are we on Velasquez and or the Tampa Bay offense? Like, why are we even thinking about Velasquez? Like, what's the point?
Velasquez projects for 11 points, median at 3% or 4% ownership. Like, I mean, if you're playing a core stack, if you're playing a lot of chalky stacks, like, sure, okay, you want to take a shot on Velasquez, you could do that. I mean,
Dave, this is a question specifically for you. You are the Ice King connoisseur. Thrifty's ice cream, yay or nay? What's Thrifty's?
The car rental place has ice cream? What the
I eat ice cream in Thrifty rental cars. I can tell you that much.
Do you know Thrifty's ice cream?
Off the top of my head, Thrifty's ice cream is not ringing a bell.
So we're bearing the lead. Yeah, Enterprise will pick you up, but Thrifty's will hook you up with some mint chocolate chip. So TJ, did I read this correctly? I wanted to bring this up when you came on. Maybe I was missing something, and I kind of we're multitasking. I'm reading the chat, having a conversation with Blender. Did you say in the chat that Fuddruckers they catered your wedding? Is that what you said?
Yes.
What? That's fantastic. I love that.
So good.
Oh my goodness.
We got
How does that happen?
A lot of compliments. I don't know. It's inexpensive, and they do catering, and it's really, really good food. So we
What did they bring? Did they bring a bunch of burgers, or like what y'all have?
So we did the chicken tenders. Chicken tenders was like the main thing, and I had no idea that their chicken tenders were that good because I usually just get burgers there.
Yeah.
But they were a massive, massive hit. We kind of decided we didn't want fancy food. We wanted tasty food. So we got chicken tenders. We brought in pierogies and a bunch of different things like that. It was delicious.
That's thrill. I am like thrilled to hear that. I don't even know why, but like I think that is fantastic in every possible way.
Yeah, I thought Fuddruckers was known for like building your own burger. Isn't that what they're known
they
for?
are.
Like
That's
a
their
burger
thing,
bar. Yeah. Okay. But I guess that was too much work. It's a whole process. Chicken tenders, that's easy. Now you mess up
chicken tenders was less expensive too.
Roth, are you good to go? I saw you had a quick change as far as your earpiece. We all set?
Yeah, no, I got the termite spray guy. We got the spray guy here, and it was coming just as I was getting on the show, so I had to like let him in. Now he's.
I was going to say you had termites on your other earphones.
No.
That's a problem.
Yeah, he's just spraying the house, preventative. But I had to get up and let him in. But now I'm good. We're good.
You got that Vados Pest Control? They're really good. I've heard good things about them. You know them?
Is that a joke? Is that a reference that just?
You've seen Breaking Bad? No.
I have.
Maybe?
Was I supposed to remember that?
Yeah, it's a really specific detail that popped in my head for no particular reason. But you got to get to season 4 at least, I think, to catch that one. But maybe season 5. Yeah, no spoilers. But check out Vados Pest Control. I've heard good things in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area. Specifically. Blender, you got anything else
baseball,
for the boys?
But Dean, the TV guy, have you watched Night Agent on Netflix?
I have not. Does that work?
Fantastic. Highly recommend
it now.
Season 1, Night Agent.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put it on the list. Yeah, we'll check it out. I feel like I saw like the screen grab, like it's trying to push it on me. The algorithm is like, oh, Dean's gonna like this,
and the algorithm knows what it does not understand about baseball. It does know about movies and TV shows.
Dean,
we'll put it on the list for sure.
Your show is increasingly hilarious. Jury Duty.
Yes.
It's really,
Dave, are you aware of Jury Duty?
I'm really enjoying it. Like, I give you a lot of credit for this recommendation because I was crying laughing last night. So good job.
And you were so upset because you had to watch 15 seconds of commercials. Like,
yeah,
God forbid, we're so spoiled.
It does kind of piss me off every time. They're like 2-minute long commercials, but it's really, really good. It's worth it. Yeah,
it's what's freebie through Amazon. At least that's the way I watched it. Dave, Jury Duty. Jury Duty is the show.
Yeah, so I put it on my list from what you've said. As soon as I have, like, I've been watching shows with my wife. That's Jury Duty does not seem like her thing. So as soon as I'm have my own time to binge a show, which might actually be this weekend, that is on my list.
Yeah, it's a really quick watch, like 8 episodes, like a half hour each, including the commercials, basically. You got anything else, Blender, before we step aside and make way for crunch time?
Thrifty Ice Cream is in California, and they're mostly in the West Coast, and they're the brand of ice cream for Rite Aid.
I would have not have guessed Rite Aid had their own ice cream brand. Good
well, from the looks of it, the Thrifty Ice Cream has been available in California for like 80 plus years, and apparently whatever the conglomerate that owns Rite Aid or whatever said, well, we'll just buy this ice cream brand so we could have it in our stores.
It is also now on my list.
All right. Fanduel sponsored Crunch Time with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. You got Dave Potts. You have TJ Zwarych. Do appreciate y'all watching the first portion. Do hit that like button if you want those Spidey bombs. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed Crunch Time. This show is sponsored by FanDuel. It is free to the masses because it's sponsored by FanDuel. And all that we ask is that you hit that little thumbs up. There's a little thumbs up right there on the YouTube. You hit it, we get more eyeballs. FanDuel is happy. We keep the show free for you. That is the goal. So make sure you're hitting that like button for us. Plus, we got a guy who can sell a thumbs up or two here joining us with TJ. TJ, what happens when we get thumbs ups?
Well, we're already almost at 100. So as soon as 5 more people hit this like button, we're going to start off with a double Spidey bomb to start the show off, because I told the people if we got 50 right off the bat, I'd start us off with one, and they did that during Grinders Live. So 2 Spidey bombs right off the bat. We'll maybe get a sneakier one as soon as we hit 150 likes here. But the first 2 of the day, we got Patty the Tooth, Patrick Wisdom, as well as Jared Kalinich today for the Seattle Mariners.
Okay. I was going to say, I hope you're feeling better and that you get to go see your movie. You sound like hell.
Yeah, you sound worse, which probably
Yeah.
means you feel better, though.
I actually feel fantastic. I did a COVID test this morning. The line wasn't there anymore. It's just like I have a stuffed up nose and nothing else.
Okay. Okay, great. Oh, I'm glad to hear it, because I know you've got big plans and you got things you want to get done. You want to go check out Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So congratulations. I'm glad that you will be able to do that now.
Thank you. Yeah, still gonna mask up just to be safe, but I'm excited about it. I feel totally fine today outside of right here.
Okay, very good. We got Cheeseisgood as well, the multi-million-dollar winner. Cheese, how are you? Last time I talked to you, you just had some cheesecake. You were phenomenal. Where are you now?
Yeah. Yesterday was a just absolutely fantastic day, so I'm great.
And I think, Cheese, we talked about rain potential in Oakland last night, and I'm like, I think it's going to work out. There was a late start, got a little nervous. I think everything went okay, right?
It was beautiful. It came on great, and the Mariners came through in the last inning, so woke up to big prizes galore from, as always, the gift of the Oakland bullpen. But the pitchers, both the starters, were great, as we needed them to be. And yeah, a rain delay doesn't hurt anything. Just means I have to go to sleep before the game's over.
Right. Okay. Very good. I'm glad that worked out. We do have some weather to discuss today, and I want to start with this weird preface, which is the forecast model that I use every single day that I really trust and is really good. It's not, the data is not coming in. I don't have it. It's like Cheese, what is the tool that you use most when you're hand building?
Like Plate IQ.
It's like if that was just gone and you've relied upon it so heavily, you're just like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
So that sucks. But hopefully that comes back. Thankfully, it doesn't look too crazy of a day here. I will say that Colorado is a game where I kind of am watching here. We're going to see some storms popping up, but everything looks like it's moving. So it would most likely just be a delay if something happens to be over the stadium. And then I think the game would finish. And I imagine the usual thing is that we want hitters there and not pitchers, right?
That is correct. We do not need to worry about pitchers there.
Okay. So then that's the only game that I want to waste time talking about. I think there's a chance of a delay in a handful of other games, but Colorado is like there's a more legitimate chance for a delay. I still think the game is going to finish, so I still think you play the bats. Good?
That's really all we need to know.
Okay, great. Then that's all I will waste time on. If you want more details on the forecast, of course, head over to RotoGrinders.com, slide over the MLB tab, go down to weather, click it, and you have a full write-up, which took a lot of extra time today because all my forecast models are not there. So go give it a read, give it a look. With that out of the way, let's talk about this slate. Cheese, I think this is the only slate of the day, I think.
It is, yeah. There's only one night game, so we're pretty much done after this.
It's exciting.
It'll probably be a go to a movie, eat some popcorn kind of afternoon. But we do have a healthy 9 games, and some of the lineups are still kind of just rolling in. Right as we came on, we got a Brewers lineup with no William Contreras, kind of changes some builds. But basically, the overview, it's similar to last night where, the Coors Field game is the high total, but it's not. There's plenty of other really great offenses that I like every bit as much as Coors, despite the irrefutable math, which is no one is here to talk about. So
nice callback. Good work.
Yeah, the irrefutable math. Anyhow, so yes, Coors Field, but there's 4 or 5 other really great high-end offenses. The pitching is good, but not great, where we have, we'll talk about it specifically, but essentially we have kind of low upside based on pitch count or skill set pitchers, but in really good matchups that it seems really far-fetched that they would do poorly, but also unlikely that we're going to get some kind of huge ceiling game out of them.
Okay. By the way, the chat is just loving that subtle little dig, that subtle little Cardi jab. The chat is very pleased with that. All right, sorry. Keep going. Talk me through the pitchers here.
So the big story is Justin Verlander. First start off the IL, first start of the year, threw 69 pitches in a rehab start. He's priced up, but 80 pitches of Verlander against Detroit is still the best pitcher on the slate. It's just kind of a matter of, because he doesn't have the ceiling, like he's not going to get 100 pitches. He's probably not even going to get 90. It's not like he's super likely to break the slate. I mean, if we see absolutely vintage Verlander, he could still kind of break the slate in 80 pitches just because we've seen him do it before. But officially, I would just say he's like that guy that if you have the salary, by all means play him. He's the best pitcher. But I don't think you have to force him in on a slate where he is going to be limited. The next group is pretty close for me with George Kirby would be the cash game guy on both sites. But he's also kind of limited in upside. Like he's not a high strikeout guy. He also doesn't get a ton of pitches. If we're going to see an upside game, it's probably either Pablo Lopez or Grayson Rodriguez. And I like Lopez quite a bit better, although he's also quite a bit more expensive. That's kind of my top four: Verlander, Kirby, Lopez, Rodriguez. You could play Jesus Luzardo in there with them, but he's basically a similarly skilled pitcher, and he's facing the Braves, so he falls way to the bottom of that group for me. And then the salary savers, kind of mid-tier-ish, are Lucas Giolito and Jack Flaherty. Flaherty does get a little bit of a boost because the Angels lineup's a little watered down. There's no Mike Trout. A couple other guys are out. I still prefer Giolito slightly, but ideally, I would rather not have to play either of them. Like if I can play out of those top four, that's what I'm going to do. But I am fine with Giolito and a little Flaherty. You are free to play a couple of Drew Rosinski's on DK if you need a $5,000 pitcher. But I mean, he only struck out one batter in his first start back in the Americas. I'm going to need to see more than one strikeout before I get super excited. So I'm mostly playing bats against him.
Okay. Can we briefly talk about Shohei Ohtani, even though he was on last night's slate and not this slate? Because I don't know if you saw, that dude's good.
So good. I mean, he's so good. It's great.
So
yeah.
Good. I had to stop everything. We were watching a show for the 17th time, explain to my wife how freaking awesome he is with 13 Ks and hitting the ball. It's ridiculous, Cheese.
I mean, he really, even though he gets talked about a lot now, he's still underappreciated, I think.
That's all I'm saying.
It's wild.
You've convinced me. I'm glad that you convinced me that when he's in town, I need to go see him pitch. That. I don't just want to see him hit. I want to see him pitch and then hit. And my mind is going to freaking explode. Literally, it's going to be like the Mars attacks aliens. My mind is just going to explode, and I can't wait. That's all. Alex says, I was at the game watching Ohtani. It was insane. All right, sorry. I know that's completely irrelevant to this slate, but it is not irrelevant to baseball.
It's not even irrelevant. He's one of the top hitters on this slate.
How is that possible? How is it possible? God, it gets me excited. Okay, sorry. TJ, talk to me about pitcher.
Exactly how you feel about Shohei Ohtani and how your brain's going to explode when you go see him in person. That's how I feel about Guardians of the Galaxy tonight.
Oh.
So when it comes to pitching, Kirby's the chalk, and he's going to be my highest owned guy. I'm probably going to be just at the field-ish or a little above on FanDuel, where he's all the way up to at 10K. I don't hate the idea of just going to a guy like Flaherty or a guy like Lucas Giolito in tournaments, because I don't really as long as Verlander doesn't put up a ceiling game, I don't really think we're going to need a massive score out of pitching today. I think your lineup is going to be one with picking the right stack. I don't think it's going to be one with a pitcher today. I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I'm reading things. And then on DraftKings, Kirby's the guy that I'm getting to the most. I have him at around 50% of my lineups, a little bit more. My new build is just getting finalized here. The last two, there we go. So I have 58% Kirby. From there, it's a pretty even split for my number two between Lopez, Rodriguez, and Verlander. Jack Flaherty is going to be the cheap guy that I'm getting to the most. On DraftKings, just because there are quite a few other pitchers in that price range that I'm okay with, and I'm having an easier time with salary with pitching over there, just because there's actually a lot of cheap stacks that I like too. I'm getting to guys. I'm not getting to much Giolito, and then I'm getting to guys like Luzardo, Eflin, and then even a little bit of like Griffin Canning, Jamison Tyon, and Drew Rachinsky, just in case.
Okay, very good. I want to talk full stacks, and I've gotten a few questions about weather and weather edge specifically as well. So TJ, walk me through kind of what we're doing stack wise, and in the meantime, I'm going to look at the latest weather edge stats here.
So last I checked, Weather Edge didn't really like Washington, but Chicago is one of my favorite stacks on the slate. My most recent build isn't actually getting all that much of them. I want to make sure I fix that and get some more in my next batch here. But Milwaukee is the top stack of the slate. They're kind of in a tier of their own for me today. They've disappointed people lately, but they're still in the best spot in Coors Field, going up against a crappy pitcher. And then Baltimore is probably going to be number 2 for me, followed by the Cubs. Colorado, the lineup is just so bad. So while I really like CJ Cron and Chris Bryant, I like a mini stack a lot more than I like a full stack of them today, even though there are a lot of really cheap guys in Coors in that lineup. So you can go that route. It's just personally, outside of Bryant and Cron, not much excites me today. And so Milwaukee is kind of my number 1. My tier 2 is Baltimore, Seattle, Chicago. And then my tier 3 is just mixing and matching some high upside stacks like Atlanta and some cheap stacks like Miami today that I surprisingly really like.
Okay, very good. Cheese, what are your thoughts here stack wise?
I agree. Like the Cubs in Washington thing is like, I wish it was better home run weather because it's not, but the Cubs against Corbin, it really lines up well. So I do like the Cubs. The Orioles are my favorite stack. Certainly like Brewers chalk, but I've got more Orioles and Cubs than Brewers. I also quite like the Mariners and the Cardinals.
Okay. TJ, did you have some sort of revelation there? You made a face.
Want to ask, speaking of just like hitting home runs in bad weather and against the wind and stuff like that. Cheese, I know you played. Sorry, my phone just fell. Cheese, I know you played some Blue Jays yesterday. Did you see Vladdy Guerrero's home run?
No, I did not.
That was one of the wildest things I had seen. The wind was actually really coming into play. It was blowing in at that stadium. It was causing the infielders trouble. It was knocking home runs back into the park. But Vladdy Guerrero hit a 450-foot bomb, like so high over the monster, directly into the wind. It was one of the craziest home runs I had ever seen. The guy hung a breaking ball, and he just like took it and watched it. Then the guy hung the same pitch the next time in a row, and he just launched it like so wildly far. I think it had like a 112 exit velo. It was nuts.
Yeah,
I will go watch that. I saw people raving about it, so I will. I'll go take a look at that.
If you hit it far enough, the weather does not matter. Speaking of which, you guys talked about the weather in Washington, and Weather Edge does not like it weather-wise, and it is not great hitting weather. Temperature in the 50s, it's upper 50s. Winds kind of blowing in from left, but also left to right. It's not the worst weather I've ever seen, but it's certainly a minus as opposed to, average or plus. I'll give it 1 minus. It's not like it's Wrigley with winds blowing in and temperatures in the 40s, which would be like a minus. But it's a bump down. It's a bump down to bats. Still, if you think the pitcher sucks and you think they're going to knock him around, I don't care what the weather's like. If
this current iteration of the Cubs lineup doesn't need the home runs as much as they did last year. Like Horner and Swanson, you can win with steals and doubles too. So I still like the team quite a bit.
Yeah,
it knocks down playing like Wisdom and Happ and Suzuki as one-offs for the power, although I still would. But the stack, I think, still has the upside.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you say, Cheese. Like you very rarely get off a play because of weather, right?
Right. The closer things are, the more you're going to look at it. But I mean, like Vladdy last night, if Patrick Wisdom gets a hold of one, it is leaving.
It's exactly, yeah. And if you think the pitcher's going to be throwing some meatballs and the guys are going to square it up, it's either going over the fence or to it. So Okay, let's talk about a little position by position. Let's go around the horn here. And Cheese, J3 says, we want Dean. He was on the last show. You just missed him. He was here for like an hour and a half.
I mean, we all feel the same.
We all want Dean. I want Dean. Yeah, Cheese wants Dean. We all do.
We are up over 150, so I'll drop a Spidey bomb real quick here before we go position by position, and let's get us up over 200 likes so we can give away a fourth Spidey bomb as well. But number 3 today is for this unowned stack that I really like today, Miami, and it's Jorge Soler. He's going to be knocking one out of the park today at very low ownership.
I love the Jorge Soler call. That is Spidey sense is strong today.
Very good. All right. And so that's Patty the Tooth Wisdom, Jared Kellenick, and Jorge Soler as Spidey Bombs 1, 2, and 3. And TJ, how many likes to get the fourth?
200.
And how hot are the Spidey Bombs, TJ? Like over the last week plus?
Very, very hot. So yesterday, Christian Walker starts the day off with going 2 homers in the early slates. And then in his last at bat, Max Muncy hits a grand slam. So that we went 2 for 2, 100% on the early slate. And while we only got 1 Spidey bomb from last night, Vinny Pasquantino, we were touting him at plus 850. And so even though only one of them hit, he was such high odds that you still would have doubled up your money if you only would have put 1 unit on each.
Yeah. All right. So get those likes. We'll get another one in coming up soon, hopefully. Let's go position by position. We'll go around the horn and we'll bounce on out of here after some questions. Cheese, lead us off with a little catcher talk.
Catcher is not even DK only with how much I like Adley Rutschman today. With one of the brothers Contreras out of the lineup, we do have Victor Caratini becomes a pretty interesting DraftKings punt. Prior to him being there, I was punting all the way down to the Cubs, Amaya, a rookie who looks like a pretty decent plate discipline guy for a young catcher. So I don't mind him as a full punt. But we also like Matt Thaiss interests me. Nick Fortes interests me. Like, I think I love paying up for Rutschman, but I'm okay going cheap as well.
Very good. DJ?
And if we want to just stick in the complete bottom of the barrel punting zone too, we can look to the other side of that Coors Field game because you have Brian Servin, who, not that you ever want to play Brian Servin, but that's a min-price guy at the catcher position that you can roll with as well in Coors Field. Outside of that, not much really to add here. I think the only one that I'm really looking to go as a one-off is Rutschman. Everybody else I'm just keeping in a stack or a mini stack. But I will be using a lot of those cheap catchers in mini stacks today. And Cal Raleigh is another guy that I really like too.
Oh, yeah, Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, big dumper. Can't go wrong with a big dumper. All right, first base, TJ.
First base today, I really like paying up for Ohtani against Flaherty. We got a really weak lineup for LA, but it did kind of make it nice and cheap. And Flaherty's the type of guy where it's like if he's just walking everybody that day anyways, it doesn't really matter who the lineup is. The optimal play today is going to be Rowdy Tellez in Coors. He's going to pick up a lot of ownership. He deserves to pick up a lot of ownership. He's a great play. He's actually not picking up as much as I expected today, which makes me like him even more. Cheese, I know you don't mind Paul Goldschmidt today, so as you have him tagged, so I'll leave that to you. But I really like I think Tellez is still probably going to be my highest owned first baseman today. I like CJ Cron, Ohtani, and Alonso. And outside of that, it's mostly just going to be stacking for me.
Okay, very good. Cheese.
Yeah, like where we're showing the ownership on Tellez, I think he's got to be higher than that. If he's really only like 11, 12% owned, then he's the play, and you don't need to get super cute about it. But my hunch is that, especially in the smaller field stuff, he's going to be like 3 times as owned as Goldschmidt, which makes me like Goldschmidt better. But in like the super large field stuff where everybody's playing everything, I think it's fine to just say you want to be over the field on Rowdy. But basically, he and Goldschmidt are both just super fantastic, and I love them. Pete Alonso is the spend up who will be just completely forgotten about. And I don't like him as much as those other two, but I always like him when he's like definitely sneaky. Sure. And then on the DK side, we do have Ohtani at first. which he's equally interested in at first or in the outfield.
Okay, great. Second base.
We do love second base, Kevin. We do love it.
We do
every
not.
That's true also.
Yeah.
If you have money, I guess I would play Nico Horner, but he's more of in a stack guy. Like the second base is not where I really want to spend my salary. I think on DK, Bryce Terang will be the chalk. I like John Birdie probably a little more than Bryce Terang as just playing a one-off cheap guy. Gorman and Albies are the two guys I'm interested in spending on a little bit as one-offs. Otherwise, it is nonsense in a stack.
Okay. TJ, your thoughts a second?
I love that Cheese likes John Birdie today because anytime I kind of got somebody singled out as somebody I'm playing a lot of and he rolls with them as well, it always gets me fired up. Nolan Gorman is somebody I really like at second base today as a one-off. I'm not doing a lot of St. Louis stacks, but I do really like Gorman as a one-off. Finally up that batting order, and he's just been hitting the ball really hard all season, been one of the few non-disappointing players for St. Louis. Birdie's my highest owned and Gorman is 2, but outside of that, I'm basically just stacking. And so Nico Horner, Bryce Terang, getting a little bit of Alan Trejo and Adam Fraser, just because they're in my stacks. And then I don't mind guys like Ozzie Albies or Jorge Polanco either.
Okay, great. Take me to third base, please.
Patrick Wisdom, I'm going to have twice as much of him as I am any other third baseman today. Now, one of the reasons is because you can play him in on the outfield as well on DraftKings. That's why I'm getting a lot of him. But I really like me some Patrick Wisdom today. From there, it's just a trio of guys that I like quite a bit, and it's Gunnar Henderson, Brian Anderson, and Eugenio Suarez. Those 4 are going to be occupying the vast majority of my lineups. You got Austin Riley really cheap on FanDuel, but outside of those guys, it's basically just stacking only for me.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah, I think it's worth just kind of talking about the Braves a little bit in general, especially with that Austin Riley salary that TJ just mentioned on FanDuel. Like Luzardo's a really good pitcher, but he's a fly ball lefty against the Braves, and probably pretty much no one's going to play the Braves. I kind of love all of them. So I think I'm going to say Riley's my favorite third baseman, certainly on FanDuel. On DK, Suarez is my favorite because that's 36 is just too cheap. And I would rather play Gunnar Henderson at short. By all means, play any of these guys. It's sort of not quite as strong a position as usual because we don't have Devers, we don't have Jose Ramirez. A couple of the guys that are usually making this position fly to the top aren't here. So I'm a little more spread out than I would normally be at third.
I can't believe you didn't mention the best third baseman in the entire MLB, Matt Chapman.
Oh.
Yeah, guys hits the ball hard and far, and yeah, he's good. He's probably a better DFS player than Vladdy at this point. It's wild.
That's been my favorite parts about watching Blue Jays games so far this year is so they were interviewing Matt Chapman a ton because he was just the AL player of the week, player of the month. And it's just it's wild how much just playing with Vladdy helps other people. Like Chapman was basically just yeah, we were watching this stuff from my swing last year, and Vladdy recommended I drop my, I stopped doing the leg lift and just do a little toe tap instead, and it's really allowed me to speed up my hands and get behind the ball. And then same thing with Dalton Varsho. He started hitting the ball better, and he was yeah, Vladdy was just watching me swing and told me to do a few things differently. He's just the hitting coach and best player of the team. Crazy.
Yeah,
and he's 14 years old and telling these guys how to do it. It's
fantastic. Yeah. And he helps them because he protects them. Nobody wants to throw a meatball to him. So if you're anywhere near him in the batting order, of course you get easier pitch as well. Okay, I think you were at shortstop, and I don't recall who's supposed to talk to me about it.
Jeez.
Yeah, so we again have Willie Adames as the pretty obvious chalk. And I think it's fine with any of these guys like Adames or Tellez. You don't have to be stacking to play them. And I don't really – it's kind of like third base where we're missing a bunch of the kind of regular high-end shortstops or the matchups aren't great. So I don't love the position. Gunnar Henderson's the cheap guy, and even batting eighth, it doesn't honestly bother me at all. A home run's a home run, regardless of your batting spot. Bobby Witt is in play, but it's not the ideal matchup. Wander Franco is super expensive, and amazingly, Velasquez is actually kind of pitching well this year. We do have John Birdie again. It's kind of equally viable to play him at either position. I'm using him more at second, but you can use him here. It's just kind of okay. Most of the punts are stack only for me. Like the guys like Zach Neto and CJ Abrams, who are just like free. I really don't want to play them on their own if I don't have to. So Gunnar Henderson is cheap enough that I don't have to full punt outside of stacks.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of thought you guys were joking a little bit about Matt Chapman being as good as he is. Apparently, according to Dean, he is number 2 in hard hit percentage, number 1 in barrels plate appearance percentage, which is ridiculous. I did not know that.
Yeah, he's hitting
364. There's obviously fluke in that, but I mean, goodness gracious.
Okay, I didn't realize he was doing that. That's amazing. All right. TJ, your thoughts at shortstop?
Very similar today. So Adames is the top play, but I'm getting to a ton of John Birdie as well. Gunnar Henderson and Dansby Swanson are going to be my next 2 favorites there. I do really like a cup stack today. I like some Francisco Lindor, either as a one-off or a mini stack with Pete Alonso. I don't really like the full Met stack today, but I am getting a lot of Mets mini stacks with Lindor, Alonso, and then one of or both of Marte and Tommy Pham. But outside of that, it's like she said, just stacking guys like JP Crawford, Alan Trejo, Carlos Correa, Zach Neto, Bobby Witt Jr., just in some stacks.
Okay, great. Take me to the outfield, TJ.
So outfield today, my 3 highest owned guys are my 3 Spidey bombs: Patrick Wisdom, Jorge Soler, Jared Kelenic. From there, I really like Ronald Acuna in tournaments. I like Chris Bryant a lot today. He's not picking up enough ownership. Byron Buxton going up against Lucas Giolito today is a play that I really like. This is going to be a position I'm getting a lot of one-offs today. I want to do a lot of my stacking throughout the infield at a lot of these positions that are just kind of meh. And then a lot of these guys that I love to hit a home run or 2 today are all in the outfield. And so that's kind of where I want to be getting my one-offs.
Great. You want to name any other names?
Those are the ones that I'm playing in multitudes today. If you need to find some cheap options, like Tyrone Taylor is going to be chalky, but he's a strong play. Basically anybody in that Milwaukee lineup. Jesse Winker is a really strong play as well. But for tournaments, that's kind of where I'm popping things up top.
Very good. All right. Cheese, your thoughts in the outfield?
Very similar overall sentiment, like stack in the infield and then plug in these guys in the outfield. My favorites are Ohtani and Mullins. But I also like everyone that TJ said, I also like quite a bit. I'm thrilled and excited that he mentioned Soler and Kelenic, like both just like mid-tier home run plays that I like a lot. Mm-hmm. Tyler O'Neill is in that same camp. And there are cheap punts, like Kyle Stowers is minimum salary on DK. I'm quite happy with him as a Tyrone Taylor pivot. But like these mid-tier guys and up are so good that I would rather do that thing we were talking about, where you just punt a couple infield spots in a stack and get these better outfielders.
Okay, excellent. That leads us to home run picks, and TJ has already given us multiple Spidey bombs with maybe one more on the way. How close are we, TJ?
30 more likes, and we got Spidey bomb number 4.
30 more likes. That's I don't know. That's doable. So let's get another Spidey bomb in. Cheese, I'm going to have you do your very favorite thing and give me a home run call. It can be sneaky. It can be chalky. It can be whatever you'd like.
Man, I've been nailing some just weird off the wall home run calls. So let me look around for something that is nonsense. I will give you a nonsense home run call. JJ Bleday.
JJ Bidet.
Bleday.
It's more fun to say Bidet.
Do it.
JJ Bidet. There you go. Lock it in. Going yard. All right. Let's take some QQs. We've got about 10, 11 minutes here until JJ Bidet. We got about 10, 11 minutes until we hit some lock. So let's get to some QQs. I'm starting off in the Discord, of course. That's where all the cool kids are hanging out. You should be as well. We'll start with a FanDuel GPP question. TJ, is Kirby okay, or should I try to get up to Pablo Lopez? I currently have a Minnesota stack.
Yeah, I think Kirby is totally fine. I like me some Kirby today.
Okay, great. DKGPP, Cheese, Lyle seems like the perfect dude for Stowers to dong on. Would you roll him over Mullins in the stack for the savings?
So Lyles is the perfect guy for Stowers.
Mm-hmm.
But like that question needs so much more context. Because obviously Mullins is way better than Stowers. So like, I mean, sure, but what's your lineup? Like Mullins is my second favorite outfielder on the slate, but Stowers is my favorite cheap outfielder. So the answer is yes and or no.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Good work. FanDuel Cash, TJ, over to you. Suarez Bryant or Riley Swanson?
Suarez Bryant.
Okay. DK Cash, Cheese, would JV? Oh, okay. Would you know him and Kirby be your personal cash pairing if you were playing cash, despite the possible limitations?
Definitely, yes.
Why can't I? Why do I thinking Jonas Valanciunas? Who? What the hell's his name?
Justin Verlander?
Verlander. I don't know why I couldn't.
Justin Verlander?
Yeah, I could think it was Valanciunas in my head when I saw JV. Best two pitchers in DK Cash, is that's
Verlander,
them. Kirby?
Verlander, Kirby.
There you have it. DK Cash, TJ Yelich or Wisdom?
It's Yelich. I like Wisdom better, but it's Yelich.
Okay. DK Cash question, 79 hundo or less for your SP2, Cheese.
Yeah, so that's right where Flaherty and Giolito are. I lean Giolito slightly, but they're essentially the same play.
Okay. All right. Steve-O pointing out this would be Stowers over Mullins in order to get to Verlander, Cheese, which is a callback to that earlier question.
It's not that necessary to play Verlander. I would go, my first lineup of that variety would be Mullins,
Okay.
and then I would make a second one with Stowers and Verlander.
Very good. All right. DKGPP, TJ, what are your thoughts on Frazier in this Orioles stack? Also, is Stowers viable? I feel like we like Stowers.
Yeah, I don't have many thoughts on Adam Frazier, but he absolutely is viable in a Baltimore stack.
Yeah, all right, there you go. Jumping on over to the YouTube chat here. Let's see what we got. DK single entry. Geez, what are your thoughts on a Cubs Orioles? Oh, okay. You got to pick. You got to pick up the three. So I'm going to give you three options with two stacks each. So there's going to be like 6 teams coming at you, but it's 2, 2, and 2. All right. So pick one of these three: a Cubs Orioles stack, an Orioles Mariner stack, or a Cubs Mariner stack.
Say that one more time.
Rank the Cubs, the Orioles, and the Mariners from 1 to 3.
He's got this. Wait. Cubs Orioles, Orioles Mariners, or Cubs Mariners?
Orioles Mariners.
There we go. All right.
But those are my 3 favorite non-Brewer stacks. So really any combo is fantastic.
Very good. All right. Is the ump in Oakland an extreme pitchers ump? Cardi is able to pull that stuff up in 0.2 seconds.
It's on Lineup HQ.
Okay.
And it says pitcher. It does not say extreme pitcher, but it says pitcher.
Okay. Travis Duarte says, what team is JJ Bidet on? What team?
Oakland.
There you go. Frederick Dute says, is Tyon playable? No idea of the projected pitch count.
I have played him in 3% of lineups in 150.
Yeah, I have less than that. We don't have an official pitch count, but he's been out for half a month and didn't make a rehab start. So I'm really skeptical of any kind of workload.
For what it's worth, their coach said his pitch count would be, or their manager, said his pitch count would be 200.
Perfect. Ceiling. This is the ceiling play.
It's a lot of pitches. All right. Jared says, hey, is J-Rod good for cash if I can afford him? I feel like there's nothing wrong with him if you can afford him, but is that Cheese? Is that?
I mean, sure. Like he's always great. Like I prefer Mullins, Ohtani, and Yelich for cash, but I mean, sure. Yeah, he's also great.
All right. David Windsor says, are there concerns for the weather in Colorado? Yes and no. Yes, there's going to be storms in Colorado this afternoon. Everything looks like it's moving, And so I think we're talking about maybe a delay. I think it's unlikely that you get a postponement out of this. I'm not going to call it safe because I hate that word, and literally teams have postponed for no rain. But I think it works out. So I would stick with one of the best games of the slate. I would not recommend fading it. How do we feel about Moose Tacos on a Thursday? Cheese 2,800 on FanDuel.
I like him much more on DK because that's really not an interesting or special salary on FanDuel. So he's fine. But definitely I prefer him on DK where you need the salary more.
All right. TJ Dave says Velasquez at pitcher. Any interest? Jumping back into the RG Discord, by the way.
Not for me, no.
No.
All right. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Riley or Swanson?
Riley or Swanson?
That is correct.
Swanson and Cash.
Mm-hmm. Book It Boy, TJ, DK Cash question. Wisdom, Yelich, or Anderson Mullins?
Wisdom and Yelich.
Cheese, FanDuel Small Field. We got 4 or 5 minutes still until lock, so we're doing all right. FanDuel Small Field, Cheese, single entry, Nolan Arenado or Paredes?
Arenado.
All right. FanDuel Cash, TJ, back to you. Suarez or Gunny?
It's probably Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson. That's
okay.
I think I'd go Suarez, but it's really close.
All right. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Riley Taylor or Gunny? This is Gunny Winker.
Gunny Winker.
All right. This is a great weather anecdote here. Once in college, we had the threat of snow for the next day, and they canceled school a day ahead. It didn't snow at all, which was awesome. Yeah. This is why
that happens all the time here. If they say there's like a 3% chance of snow, like everything is closed for like a week.
Yeah.
And then it's just like 62 degrees and sunny and everyone's just running around outside.
The problem is everybody wants to know a day ahead. And it's always so borderline with snow. If it's like 1 degree warmer than we thought, then you just get a little bit of rain. Like you shut down the whole city over a little bit of rain. It's hard. Forecasting snow in particular, really, really hard. That's why I live in Houston. I don't have to do it around here. Richie Smalls, Verlander Stowers, Cheese, or Luzardo Stowers? This is DK.
Verlander.
Any tie-on, TJ? Did we discuss this?
3% in 150 lineups. So basically, no.
Little tiny bit. DK GPP Cheese, Cub Stack, and Rays Mini Stack.
Yeah, I can support that.
I support it a lot. I like it. DK Cash, Crone, or Mountcastle, TJ?
Crone.
FanDuel single entry hand building question. This one's got to go to Cheese. On today's slate is leaving 600 on the table too much for DK. FanDuel single entry is leaving 600 on the table too much or okay, not for DK.
Yeah, that's totally okay. Yeah, that's not even remotely too much to leave.
And that's on every single slate, right? Have you ever?
That's every slate. I will say that usually you use more of the salary on FanDuel because of how they price up the pitching. On DK, like you almost always want to leave at least 600, honestly. But yeah, you never feel like you need to spend the salary.
Very good. Have either of you ever got duped in a high position on a GPP? Like, have you ever taken down a GPP and then been duped, or been duped when you take down a GPP?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. TJ?
Yep. Doesn't happen too often in
baseball. Yeah, it's rare, but yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Happens to me more in football than anything else.
Sure. Or like Showdown. Is it even possible to win Showdowns without it? Like, yeah, it happens. Best outfielder, Cheese, 3,400 or below, DK Cash. You got about a minute and a half here until
34. I'm going to scroll to that one. That's and you said it was Cash?
It was DK Cash.
I mean, I think I'd go all the way down to Tyrone Taylor, and then you even got a little extra money.
Okay, great. DK Cash question. TJ, Tellez or Mountcastle at first? Tellez. Cheese, do you like Gunnar or Suarez in Cash? You like them both, but you got to pick one.
Suarez.
All right, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. J3 says, I binked a DK tournament last week when the Millers were pitching and left 2.8K on the table. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's nothing silly about leaving $3,000 or $4,000 in baseball. Like, I think people overthink the salary. Like, that's fantastic.
That's
Millers. The Millers were getting things done.
Yeah. How awesome is Seattle without lineups? I don't know what that means. Did they not put their lineup out yet? Are we still waiting?
Yeah, they haven't had it out yet. I don't.
Yeah, they're taking their time again.
That's not fun.
But it is. I mean, it's still 2.5 hours till the game, so they'll get there quickly.
We got time. Was there a fourth Spidey Bomb, TJ? Do we ever get there? We're approaching lock. How close are we to Spidey Bomb 4?
I exited out of YouTube so that my lineups could build a little bit faster.
I've got it up actually. We got 178. I'm hitting the like button. We got 179. What do we need? 200?
Yeah. So not yet. The people weren't ready. See if you can smash it quick on the way out.
Yeah. I don't think so, gentlemen. Hey, we have hit the lock and we've given out some damn good information. Keep in mind, because this is early and we've kind of got games going through the day, that I will be updating weather on the RotoGrinders page all day long, in particular in Colorado. I don't anticipate any games becoming a problem, but I'm going to be posting updates and watching things for you. So make sure you're kind of tuning into either my Twitter or the RotoGrinders weather page as I keep things updated. Anything you boys want to add before we bounce?
Yeah, there is something I want to add. You know what's super weird when it's like a day and there's no night games, so you're going to go to a movie and your local movie theater is AMC and you type in AMC.com. That's like the TV channel. So it's AMC Theaters.
AMC Theaters.
Yeah. I feel like
I assume
AMC, the TV network, really loves that. Every day, someone from AMC TV wakes up and just like,
are they not owned by the same parent company?
It appears not from the lettering.
Okay, yeah, didn't know that. Okay, well, I assume you're gonna go watch Guardians of the Galaxy. Is that the plan?
I actually have to wait a few days for that. I'm gonna see that with my daughter first. I'll probably see it twice anyway, but I'm gonna be nice and wait. So I'm gonna see something different, so that I will also can be the only one in the theater and eat my popcorn as loud as I choose.
That's literally, Robert just says, Cheese seems like the kind of guy who goes to the movies at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday to not have to deal with people.
Oh, that is so completely correct. Like, the amount of times that I have seen a movie and been the only one in the theater would blow your mind to pieces. It's crazy. Like, it's a gift and I love it.
All right. Well, whatever it is you're seeing, enjoy it. TJ, I know you got big plans as well for some Guardians of the Galaxy.
Heck yes, I'm excited to get going to that one tonight. It's supposedly phenomenal. I've had friends that are there already. Our interviews with the cast are now up on the Agents Fandom YouTube page and our site. So big things. I'm excited.
Okay, Cheese, do you have a movie that you plan to see, or do you just have a plan you're going to see a movie?
Yeah, I actually haven't decided what I'm going to see yet.
Wow, I have never once in my life been like, I'm going to go see a movie and then figure out what movie. Like,
back in the day, pre like smartphones, like I would just show up to the theater at around the time movies generally start.
Yeah,
and then just start throwing darts.
Wow. All right. Well, I hope whatever it is you find, you enjoy it. TJ, hope you love your Guardians. We're going to bounce on out of here, guys. Go ahead, hit us with a little thumbs up on your way out. For Cheese, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.